You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Off to a hell of a start, I can tell you that. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this first Thursday of 2022? Thanks so much for being with us. The Florida Sports Network, to let you in behind the curtain, because even those that are watching on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, I mean, we literally had just signed on the air, and Mark went all Eli Manning on me.
Bouncing. It's like Mazzoni and Moulton right now. I'm bouncing on like Leo Mazzoni in the chair right now. I'm so fired up for the show.
He went double bird, okay, to tell me that I really am number one. Wow. Hell of a start to the show. We have a hell of a show lined up for you.
Fired up.
But Elliott, Rob Ellis, Steve Deace, Andy Baskin. We'll head to Philly. We'll head to Michigan. We'll head to Cleveland. We'll head to Orlando. Talk about a variety of things. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing great. In a great mood. Fired up about this show today. Fired up about what's been going on in the sports world, where I know that you made the comment at the end of the show yesterday that there's how many games? 30 football games left, and over half of them are going to be played this weekend.
Yeah, we got 16 NFL games this weekend. Then we'll have 13 playoff games. So that's 29. And then we got the College Football National Championship Monday, 30. So,
And I know to a lot of people that's a depressing thing because It's coming to an end. I am fired up because I think there are far more unknowns than knowns heading into the postseason. I think there are some teams that can surprise. I like games of consequence. So whenever this time of year gets here, I get fired up.
All right. Good to hear. I'd much rather have you fired up than not fired up.
Fair enough. That seems appropriate.
I think there's just enough games with meaning in the NFL this weekend. I mean, we got the one classic winner-go-home game, which is good. We've got a couple of games where if you win, you're in, but if you lose, you need some help. Seeding, which, that's a topic. How important do we think seeding is this year? The Bucs were the 5 seed last year. They played 3 road games. They went into Lambeau and won. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have been the number 1 seed a couple of times. Didn't make it to the Super Bowl either time. The one time he and they have made it to the Super Bowl, Mark, they were the 6th seed. They played 3 road games.
Well, but
he's 400 guys on IR.
But he's a jerk, David.
Well, maybe.
In case you missed it.
Right. You can't get away with that in 2022. Just can't do it. Can't do it. There was a time in which if you were a member of the media, you could not vote for a guy and it was kept quiet. I mean, I will say I'm impressed. We still don't know who didn't vote for Derek Jeter for the Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm very impressed by that. I mean, I think it's idiotic and I think they should lose their vote. But the fact that a year and a half, 2 years has gone by, we don't know who the numbskull was that didn't vote for Derek Jeter in the Hall of Fame, I'm impressed with.
But this guy, a fairly unknown football writer, said he wasn't voting for Aaron Rodgers for the MVP because he is, quote, a jerk.
Jerk. He's a bad dude. He's a jerk.
And Aaron filleted him.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, Aaron has been a jerk in the past. Aaron has screwed up in the past. When you are given gift material like that, you cannot just let it go. That's a cornerback falling down and a receiver wide open.
Absolutely.
You have to hit him.
And he did over and over and over again.
Yeah. Hub Arkush is the sports writer's name. He's based out of Chicago. That whole Packers-Bears thing.
But I agree with Aaron. I don't think it has to do with anything more than the line about the vaccination. I think what Aaron said is totally right of why he's not voting for him. And that's fine.
Yeah.
It's his vote. But when you make comments like that and you're a fairly unknown guy, well, you get known pretty quickly.
Right. And he has apologized. And I will say he has thrown himself at Aaron Rodgers' feet. He said, I was a jerk. I was an idiot. I completely screwed up. There's no excuse. I'm not going to I was, a numbskull. And Aaron, filleted him anyway. And you could see both sides.
I will say, though, it'll never happen. But between the baseball writers and all this, I wish there was somebody out there that would take these votes away.
Totally with you.
I think we're at the point. One, the baseball writers is its own hell.
Wow.
Because it's only writers. It's not, the Hall of Fame is done by people who write for baseball. There are people who haven't written about baseball in a decade that have Hall of Fame votes. It's asinine.
Well, and also the broadcasters don't get votes. As Seth Everett has said many times on this show, Vin Scully never had a vote for the Hall of Fame. He goes, come on, if you're going to have members of the media actually determine who should be in the Hall of Fame, then Vin Scully should probably be one of the people who has a vote. He's got a pretty good, memory bank there in terms of being able to compare and contrast somebody. I know a Hall of Famer when I see him. Well, how far back does your baseball go? Well, to Jackie Robinson. Oh, okay.
I guess you're in.
Right. So.
And football's been the sport who has always tried to say we vote on what goes on between the lines. Right. And I know that's the Hall of Fame. That doesn't necessarily mean the MVP and different awards. But if the biggest award, which is getting in the Hall of Fame, is determined by what goes on between the lines, then it is safe, even though it's never safe to make an assumption. It seems reasonably safe to say, well, then the rest of the award should be done the same way.
And while most sports fans don't care about awards anymore, the players do, and the Hall of Fame does. I mean, there are certain benchmarks that every sport will use to decide whether or not you're a Hall of Famer. Now, I think Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to win another MVP in order to be a Hall of Famer. I believe that judge and jury has already rendered its verdict, but it would be number 4. And as Peyton joked with him on the Manning cast, he goes, hey, if you win the MVP, all right, it's okay if you stop there. And Aaron just smiled and said, why, did somebody win 5? And Eli goes, yeah, Peyton.
So as you said, it matters to them. Pat Kerwin pointed out on the show on Tuesday, because I don't care about the Pro Bowl. And Pat goes, I got you. He goes, I said, all pro means a hell of a lot more than Pro Bowl. Pat goes, I agree with you. It does, but not to the players. Not to the players, because there's so few all pro. Pro Bowl is a bigger deal inside the room.
Never mind the fact that a lot of contractual incentives are tied to it.
100%. And let's get down to business here.
Right.
If I can get more money, it really matters.
Let's get down to business. It is a business. But Hub Arkush, 68-year-old sports writer from Chicago. He's the guy who
probably not going to be traveling to road games at Lambeau anytime soon.
Might not get a credential to the NFC divisional playoffs or NFC championship game at Lambeau. That is true.
Might not get one when the Bears play at Lambeau next.
But I'm with you. I think that, and even though he apologized and he screwed up, that if there was someone overseeing the MVP voters, that they could say, listen, we're going to have to take your ballot away from you. Because quite frankly, we just can't trust you anymore. I mean, if you were willing to be that unprofessional once, we can't take the chance that you could be that unprofessional a second time.
Bingo.
Been doing this a long time. Not a lot of people dove into the deep end the way you did. That's sorry. There's consequences to actions.
Thank you.
You lost your vote.
Right. This is the old thing. Freedom of speech. Yes. Consequences of that freedom, they're there. And I think there should be consequences.
Speaking of freedom of speech, Antonio Brown got a few things off his chest late yesterday.
He's got a whole new song in that release.
Man, oh man. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Bruce Arians specifically, they are bad people, according to AB. Okay, which is rich coming from AB, but still, they are bad people. And he was injured. He wasn't hurt. He was injured. He was trying to play through it. And the Bucs made him, and they shouldn't have. And he goes, I didn't quit. I was cut on the sidelines. And I will say, if you read on Twitter or Facebook or wherever the statement was posted, it's pretty salacious. If you talk to people in the NFL, this apparently is boilerplate injury grievance stuff. That this is exactly how these grievances are written out. It's you getting your lawyer to do something before they get their lawyers, and that this is essentially an argument over a couple of game checks and maybe some playoff revenue. That's really what this is an argument over.
And they have not cut him yet because they're trying to figure out how to properly do it without having to pay him.
And or how it is they're going to word their statement, which my guess is has just gone up in terms of angst. That, they were probably going to go standard boilerplate statement, and now I'm guessing it's notched up a few levels. So we'll see what happens there. What I find interesting, though, is what if, let's just say, what if, because AB says he's going in for surgery, that he had bone fragments, he had a torn ligament in his ankle. I mean, he's not alleging this is a ankle sprain in which we can debate the various degrees set of. I mean, he's flat out saying, hey, I am injured. They full well know I was injured and I was trying to play through it. And the argument was, I said, listen, I can't play through this anymore. And Arians was completely not understanding of it and basically said, get your you-know-what in there. And when AB said no, Arians cut him. Now, I think most of the real world doesn't think that Arians cut him on the sideline.
No.
That he probably said something along the lines of, well, then you're out or get out of here or something like that.
Right.
And AB,
I think anybody that's played a sport, quite frankly, has seen something like that. From high school on, has seen a coach yell at someone, well, get out of here.
Right. Right.
I mean, I honestly believe that if you played sports from high school on, that you've come across an instance where that's been said to you or one of your teammates.
But I do think that will be, for lack of a better word, an interesting part of this story, because it may, I don't think so, but it just may provide a small opening for somebody to kick his tires next year. I mean, if in fact he really had a torn ligament in his ankle and bone fragments floating around, all right, okay. I mean, now you're. Let's be blunt here. You're not as nuts as we thought you were. Okay, that's maybe you're still too nuts for anybody else to touch, but
no, you're not, because there are a lot of teams who have a lot of needs, and talent wins out over all of that. Yeah, I mean, if he could play for a Super Bowl winner and now a Super Bowl contender, he could play for the Jets. If you know what I mean.
Well, hell, I mean, he might be able to play for Belichick and the Patriots. I mean, he signed them once before. It's not like they've got a strong wide receiving core.
Never have.
Not since 07, 08
nope.
Anyway. But so that'll play itself out in the coming months here. It's really about money. Well, isn't everything. Miller and Moulton. Got a lot going on in the sports world. We got a great show lined up for you. Our guests begin next hour with Bud Elliott talking all things college football. And as you know, if you listened yesterday, there are a lot of things involved.
We could just do the transfer portal with Bud. we won't.
No.
But that's how much is going on in the sport.
And we will head to Philadelphia, to Michigan, and to Cleveland before this show is done. Top of the morning to you. Hope the first week of 2022 is going well for you. And we thank you for listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Bud, we tweeted out a couple days ago. Is Auburn going to be picked 7th in the SEC?
Who was the Oregon quarterback this year?
The quarterback?
Yeah, do you know?
Oh, at the top of my head,
because Robbie Ashford, another Oregon quarterback's leaving. He was a 4-star. These are yesterdays. I love the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is that Florida?
Bless you. Oh, that's my favorite. The cough sneeze. Mm-hmm. Did you almost have a little puke in there too? I get the triple sometimes. That's my absolute favorite.
Oh, God.
I'm being very sarcastic, but you get that feeling like all of a sudden you're going to get a little acid reflux, and then you have to sneeze and cough all at the same time, and you don't know if things are going to go in 40 or 50 directions.
He should PBR. I mean, he really should.
By the way, our vote was 52-48 yesterday.
Seriously?
Wow.
48.4 to 51.6% on 124
Which
votes.
one? Who won?
Knows.
Oh.
What was our question again?
Harbaugh.
So they don't think.
But 50-50 that he'll be in the NFL next year. Like basically half the. Well, to David's point. Hey, can we put regular ESPN or something else on?
Oh,
NFL Network? I don't care.
I don't know why
Last thing I need to see is this.
Whoa.
I know your wife's not paying attention, but the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, watched it last night. It was a game on TNT.
By the way, David, you mentioned the other day how the Rockets have had problems. Houston, Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah,
he had a game winner.
Well, I mean,
doesn't mean they almost just getting in fistfights with one another.
Right, I mean, the players did screw up.
His first game back from suspension, step back, game winning 3. I don't get it. That's a tough shot. I mean, that's James Harden right there. And he had 9 points.
Yeah, how about the Celtics losing at home to the Spurs? What's up with that?
You saw how they lost?
No.
Watch.
A Tennessee State rep last night tried to fight a referee at a game.
No.
Wait, a Tennessee what?
Tennessee State Representative Jeremy Faison, House GOP chair, tried to fight and pants a high school referee in a gymnasium full of kids and adults.
He tried to pants him.
He did. I'm watching it.
Watch this last possession. Easy turnover. Easy. Miss layup. See, at first I thought maybe they could get away with like he touched the rim kind of ordeal, but no.
Yeah, RCB. Listen, I think Mike Norvell's doing a really good job. I really do.
30 seconds.
They're going to win. They're going to win 9 games next year, RCB. I don't know if that includes the bowl game or not, but they're going to. Schedule's going to be a lot easier too.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. The starting 5 is coming up in roughly 15 minutes' time. Get you up to date on everything you may have missed from yesterday and overnight and all that sort of thing. Have you been paying attention to this Novak Djokovic story?
I have. I mean, not probably as much as you because, one, you're a tennis junkie.
Well, and I am a Djokovic guy. He's my guy, not more so than Federer and Nadal.
I think we're both in that camp because he's goofy, he's fun, the dog, the whole thing. He's been a character, but he's becoming a caricature.
Well, yeah. So you got the Australian Open coming up here. It's a major. Djokovic's won it 9 times. And he's tied with Nadal and Federer for most major wins all time, but they're older than him. And so Djokovic's got a chance to be number 1 all time. And it's a record we think could stand for a while. I mean, all 3 guys have won 20. 20. No one else has won more than 14. You know, the thought is whoever's the last guy standing on this hill is going to be on top of this hill for a really long time.
It will be regarded as the greatest tennis player ever.
Could very well be.
I think so. Skip the laver and all that. These guys have been doing it against one another.
Correct.
For 13 years now or whatever the hell it is.
Right. And I could argue that Djokovic is more impressive because he literally, coming up, Nadal and Federer were already established as Nadal and Federer. He had to catch up to them, take them down, and then in theory, if he ends up with the most, pass them for all-time majors. So Novak Djokovic's from Serbia, and he wants to travel to Australia for the Australian Open. They have very strict protocols to get into Australia. And Djokovic is clearly unvaccinated and does not want to be vaccinated, even if it means he can't get into Australia and compete in the Australian Open. But Djokovic appealed for this medical exemption of some kind. And in Australia, they put it to an independent panel. And apparently they let 2 independent agencies, panels, or whatever, take a look at his case, and 48 hours ago, they both said, yeah, believe it or not, he qualifies. And so, okay, he got a medical exemption into the Australian Open. So he and his team, because, you know, all these athletes now have sports.
And he has a team.
Oh.
Of all of the athletes out there,
Wow.
Novak Djokovic has the largest team. In fact, I believe Mike Tyson looks at Joker and says, damn, son, that's an entourage.
Yeah. Yeah. The Tennessee Titans have used 88 players this year, and they think Djokovic has a lot of people around him. Right. So Djokovic and his team get on the private plane and they fly into Brisbane or wherever the heck, Perth or wherever they went. And So they get off the plane and they're gonna, go through security and get into their cars and head to the 5-star hotel. There's only one problem. There's one last line of defense in Australia. And as far as COVID goes, it's essentially like a border patrol. And they have the last word, period. End of sentence. You have to get through them to be allowed into the country. And they took a look at his paperwork and they looked at him and they said, hey, could you and your team go sit over there for 6 hours? And then they came back out and they said, yeah, the answer's no. I'm sorry, excuse me? What?
No.
Yeah.
What part of no didn't you seem to understand?
Right. Hope you got enough gas on that plane there because you might as well get back on it and go back. We ain't letting you in the country. And the Australian Open threw their hands up and said, hey, we do things a little different here in Australia. We got no say in this, okay? He passed our clearance, but their clearance is a little higher than ours.
But their clearance is a little higher. Absolutely right, David. And, look at whatever it is you want to do, go do. There's part of me that gives this guy an ounce of credit for sticking to his guns. I think he's an idiot because the chance at mortality with a couple of shots versus holding this line, but that's the line he chooses to hold. I wouldn't.
Well, he clearly is not getting vaccinated. He's had plenty of time to get vaccinated, and he's not getting vaccinated. Okay. In Australia, they're like, well, if you're not vaccinated, you can't come in unless you qualify for this medical exception or exemption. And according to the Australian Open, he passed their test. As for the country, they said no.
And the country's been very open about the reasons why. They have facts. They've got some of the lowest death rates in the world as far as COVID, and they are continuing to be very vigilant, whether you agree with them or not.
Right. They're not taking a vote, by the way.
Right. This is not a Twitter poll.
No, they don't care. This is how we're doing it, and we've been doing it, by the way, like this for over a year and a half, and this is our story, and we're sticking to it. Okay. And so Djokovic and his people are essentially appealing to the Australian Supreme Court. I mean, they're trying to get an injunction. And obviously, time's of the essence. This tournament's starting here real soon. I mean,
I don't like their chances.
Oh, Djokovic?
Yeah.
No, I don't either.
No, I'll take on the plane and get the hell out.
Yeah. Listen, when you got the prime minister and the people who run the Australian Open basically saying, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. We answer to those guys who just told you no. That's how we do things in this country. All right. They are the last line. I don't know. Didn't have your paperwork in order. I don't know. You made a snide comment while standing in line. I don't know. Didn't fill out the form correctly. Maybe they just can't get over the fact that, did you get your shot? The whole box that you checked that said no. I don't know. They don't know what to tell you. They don't answer to anybody. So good luck. But right now, literally, he's been denied entry into the country. I'm sorry. I find this hysterical. It's absurd, yet I find it hysterical. That this is where we are.
See, I'm more on the absurd side. I'm not on the hysterical side. Like I said, his conviction needs to be acknowledged, as crazy as it may be.
But I mean, think about it. Once he got the exemption, he never once thought. I mean, they packed up. They were coming down under. Okay, guys, road trip. They get on the private plane. They fly in from Serbia. By the way, not a short flight.
No, I must say, though, when he did get the exemption, did you even look at it and go, what? I mean, even the fact that they gave him the exemption stunned me because Australia and New Zealand have played by completely different rules than the rest of the world throughout this pandemic.
Well, and there are people that think that the exemption is bogus, And I will say the Australian Open has been almost defiant and going, whoa, 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 whoa. We didn't play any favorites here. In fact, we didn't decide this. Okay. He sent in the paperwork. We forwarded it. We had nothing to do with this. We originally told him, you're not in the field. He applied to get in. So the Australian Open's been a little defiant going, hey, we didn't pull any favors here and say, I know a guy, I can take care of it.
We'll come to find out that they picked this independent group by themselves and they will be responsible. What would you bet on that?
Well,
on the Australian Open playing favorites to get Novak Djokovic in their tournament?
Well, I'm guessing apparently there were 2 independent groups that took a look at the paperwork and what have you, and both said, no, he should be allowed to play. Oh, okay. I got to think at least one of them, it was like,
make sure you send it to
Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie. We get yeses from Charlie. We got Charlie. Charlie's on the books. All right. Charlie's independent, if you know what I mean.
Right. These are like the doctors and the pill problem with the pain pills. Go to that guy. He'll tell you your back's really sore.
Right. Then just tell him how many you need.
Right.
So, that's what's going on. It's no big deal or anything. It's just a major championship.
And his shot at becoming the number 1 major winner in the world.
And he's 34. You never know when the wall is going to hit. When we last saw Djokovic, by the way, he was playing for the Grand Slam, having won the first 3 legs, and he was in the final of the U.S. Open. Now, he got whacked. He got straight setted in the final and hasn't played hardly at all since.
Had a couple of parties.
Well, yes, he has. Yes, he has. And, of course, has said to people, yeah, take video, post them, knock yourself out. So, but I find the story to be hilarious. This is the number 1 player in the world. And the Australian Open said, listen, if you can get by this independent review.
Absolutely,
okay,
they did.
You keep your paperwork in order and you get to the border. You'll probably have to sit and watch a couple episodes of Friends. But otherwise, get your Netflix out on your iPad. You'll be fine. Could take a couple hours. All right. 6 hours later, they go, no, sorry. Gas that sucker back up. Get the heck out of here.
Well, by all accounts, too, they just stuck them all in one room for the 6 hours. It wasn't like they had free reign of anything. It's like, no, you're going to go sit over here.
Right. You couldn't leave the grounds.
Right.
Even though, somebody was going, we're supposed to check in at the Ritz. If we don't check in, we could lose our room. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It's going to take a while. Get comfortable.
Miller and Moulton, the starting 5 on the other side. Thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
To the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. But Canada doesn't matter. I'm just talking about the UK. I'm just talking about the 4 majors, David. So can we let him in? Are we letting people in that are unvaccinated? I don't think we are.
Are you sure about that?
I don't know. That's why.
I know in Europe they're not. You have to be able to prove vaccination.
But he's European, so that's what I'm saying. You must be fully vaccinated to travel to the United States by plane if you are a non-U.S. citizen.
Well, there you go.
So that's the U.S. Open.
Right. Well, which is not for a while, but still.
But
right.
We're not going to change that status, David.
Right. Well, I know. Plus, you got the tennis tournament coming in about 2 months in Miami. I mean, as regular season events go, the one in Miami is a big deal. I don't.
We may need to get a guest next week on this. It's a great story.
Oh, no. It's very interesting.
He's the number one. I mean, this is the best, maybe the best tennis player
of
ever.
all time. Right. He's won this tournament 9 times. He is a legend.
I really thought TNT was going to put this game on. They ended up getting a really good game, but.
Do they have fans or no?
No.
Unreal.
Raptors games don't have fans either.
Unreal.
Played golf yesterday. Guy I played with, I think he didn't even play that well. I think he shot 84, made 4 fucking birdies. I love birdies.
Always get a fist pump after the birdie.
How about the race, Tony? It's Mother's Day weekend. David's really upset.
Unbelievable. I really wanted to go. I can't go to the F1 race Mother's Day weekend.
What are you and your mom doing?
Just stop it. Stop it.
I'll go for you.
Mother's Day qualifies for my wife. It's going to qualify for my daughter. I can't go. I want to go.
Yeah, you can.
No, I can't. No, I missed too much time for 5 months. I really can't.
Well, Tony, I don't know. Are the F1 drivers unvaccinated? Is Hamilton unvaccinated? It's only really a problem if the top drivers didn't get vaccinated. And to my knowledge, they're traveling all over the world, and these restrictions are in place in most countries. So I would guess, and I could be totally wrong, that they're vaccinated. This is a big deal because the number one tennis player in the world refuses to get vaccinated.
You know, the number one football player in the world refuses to get vaccinated.
He does, but we don't care in that league.
Right.
There's a big difference. He's not traveling. He's not playing games.
And by the way, he did miss a game because of it.
Yeah. Know what I'm saying? How ironic.
Just like Djokovic's going to miss a tournament.
Or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or the whole year.
The Australian. But
right.
Yeah, the Fighting Dooley's got a big win last night. He's won a couple close games this year.
Who'd they beat?
Tulane in overtime.
Mark, is F1 Miami a one-off thing? Or
No, that's supposedly on the circuit.
So, like, it's going to happen every year now?
For a few years. I think like 3 was the deal.
Okay.
Have you seen the parking lot? Because they're racing in the parking lot. They're racing around the stadium.
I've seen the skeleton of it. But
yeah,
But they're going to go right to work as soon as, like...
No. They've been doing work the whole football season. During the Ravens game there, the parking lot was completely torn up.
Well, yeah, and I did see the game day show for the Orange Bowl, and it looked really nice. It looked a little extra nice. All right, we're coming back.
I can't wait to see what it looks like. I really wanted to go.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes before the hour. Top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Bud Elliott, a little less than an hour from now, our weekly chat with Mr. 24/7. We will head to Philadelphia, top of the 8 o'clock hour, talk with Rob Ellis. A little less than 2 hours from now, we will talk to Steve Deace in Michigan about the future of Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverine program. And we will allow Andy Baskin to vent a little bit get some stuff off his chest, and then we'll question him about a few things going on in Cleveland. That at the top of our bonus hour. Now, we have to come up with a poll question,
Okay.
How'd our poll question go yesterday?
Very close, 50-50. We asked you if Jim Harbaugh was going to be coaching the NFL next year. 48% of you said yes, 52% of you said no.
That's pretty good.
Especially when it was like 30-70 most of the day. No. Late vote. Broward County came in.
Well, they always do.
Right.
They always do. See, how much do we need? Okay. All right. It is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Hey, I don't want to say this COVID thing is lingering as a problem, but the NFL is openly exploring contingencies for the Super Bowl. Remember, the Super Bowl's in Los Angeles. That's California. That's a country all onto its own.
Yeah, Jarrah's place was the picture I saw in the story I read.
Yes.
As the leader in the clubhouse. That's
Yes.
unfortunate because that means Miami will not be the location as the 1A.
Yes, right now, the leader in the clubhouse for contingency is Jarrah's World in the greater Dallas-Fort Worth area. So just keep that in mind when you're paying attention to certain cities and states, and some having restrictions and others not. It's laughable to those of us in Florida, considering the world that we live in terms of lack of restrictions and lack of closings and things of that nature. But we are 50 states, and things are very different elsewhere.
I've got to tell you, David, it is, you travel. I've been in the Florida bubble, and it's been a great bubble to be in.
And for those that don't know, when I go from NFL city to NFL city, I literally walk up. The very first hotel I get to, I always have a mask on. And I walk up to the front desk and I go, "Hi, my name is David. I live in Florida. What state are we in, and what are the rules?" And they usually chuckle, all right, and they will tell you we're wearing masks here, or certain.
Are they appreciative? I know they laugh with the Florida thing, but do they then?
Yes.
Does that open them up?
Yeah,
to be a little friendlier.
Yes, it really does. It really does.
Because I gathered it when Seth came on the show a week and a half ago, and he had spent some of December on the east coast of Florida.
Correct.
And his first words to us was, "Well, you guys sure do things differently."
Yep.
And look, some of you don't like Seth because you think his politics are a certain way. I think you would be shocked if you actually knew where they were. But, he was in the middle of Jersey when things were really bad.
Right.
It has more to do with his immediate surroundings than anything else, and the way he's had to live the last year and a half. But it just stunned me when he said, "You guys do things different."
Right. Yeah.
He was shocked.
Right. He went from North Jersey to South Florida. It's not the two extremes, but it's close. It's close. Speaking of COVID, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, they both have COVID for the Bengals, both likely not to play. That's not a guarantee, but both likely not to play. If the Bengals lose and the Bills win, the Bengals will go from the 3 to the 4 seed. So that's the most that the Bengals can lose here. They can lose seeding, and that's it. Micah Parsons, by the way, tested positive for COVID. He will not play Saturday against the Eagles. Antonio Brown claiming that the Bucs tried to make him play through an ankle injury, and that is why he got upset, because he had said, "I can't play anymore." He leveled some accusations against the Bucs. This will end up going to an arbiter and an injury settlement, and they're ultimately arguing over money. Aaron Rodgers found out that Hub Arkush in Chicago is not going to vote for him for MVP because he's a jerk. And Aaron Rodgers said, "You can't call me a jerk. You don't even know me. I mean, if you know me and call me a jerk, that's one thing." So Arkush has had to apologize and all that. Sad news. Ross Browner passed away at the age of 67. Mark, he's one of the first college football players that I really remember. Archie, Rick Leach, Ross Browner at Notre Dame. You know, this is the early to mid 70s. I was 8, 9, that type of deal. He was a 2-time unanimous All-American defensive lineman at Notre Dame, was actually part of both national championship teams in the 70s. As a freshman on Ara's team and then as a senior on Dan Devine's team. He was 67 years old. He's also most known for the oldest of 6 brothers. He and 3 others played in the NFL. Jimmy Keith and Joey Browner, along with Ross Browner, all played in the NFL. How about that? Browner's son was Max Starks, who played on a couple of those Steelers Super Bowl teams.
There you go.
And Greg Robinson, longtime assistant in the NFL. He did have a short, unsuccessful stint as the head coach of Syracuse. But Robinson was the defensive coordinator on those Broncos teams in the late 90s that went back-to-back. Greg Robinson passed away at the age of 70. A couple of other college football notes. DJ Durkin leaves Ole Miss. He did a really good job as defensive coordinator in their lane. He went where everyone's going, Mark, A&M.
It's where the most money is right now, David.
Yes.
It's where the most money is.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's not joking. All right. It's been documented. It's flat out where the most money is right now.
They are thick with cash.
Yes, they are.
Miller and Moulton would leave for a job at A&M right now if offered one.
And Michigan's Aiden Hutchinson, no surprise, he declares for the draft. NBA last night, Mark, 11 games scheduled. How many got played?
11.
Well, yes, it's the NBA.
It's the mini NFL, the NBA.
The Heat plowed through in Portland and held on to win 115-109. Orlando, they're playing a lot better. They're not winning a lot more, but they're playing a lot better. They lost at home to the Sixers, 116-106. Kyrie made his season debut. He had 22. The Nets rallied in the fourth quarter, beat the Pacers by 8. They retired Dirk's number in Dallas. You know, that's one of those things you needed to know because you would have placed a few shekels on the game.
Right. Did you see they did the replica? Cuban unveiled the statue they're going to put in front of the building. There's like a mini statue. It's pretty cool because he's shooting and it's got like 3 balls. So nice. It's kind of cool. It's something a little different.
And Dallas whooped up on Golden State last night on the special evening, 99-82. And one other game, the Spurs went to Boston and beat the Celtics. The Spurs just own the Celtics. The Celtics are like 3-17 in their last 20 against the Spurs, and the Spurs are not good anymore. 99-97. College hoops, whole lot of games involving Florida teams last night. Game of the night in Miami. The Canes with a big second half. They beat Syracuse 88-87.
Great win. Congratulations. Anytime Syracuse goes down, I'm a happy camper.
Temple beat UCF in Orlando by 4. FGCU beat UNF by 7. FIU a 3-point winner over Bethune-Cookman. The Gators lost at home to Alabama by 13. South Florida lost at home to Houston by 17. The Jacksonville-Kennesaw State game was postponed because the Jacksonville program is dealing with COVID. 59 games were scheduled in Division I college basketball last night. How many of the 59 got played?
46?
You know what? You didn't win both showcases, but you might have won 40.
All right.
19 of the 59 were canceled. NHL, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, Meatloaf. Toronto doubled up Edmonton 4-2 before no fans north of the border. And, man, the Penguins are hot.
Yes, they are like a bat out of hell, David.
Look at you. You did get a good night's sleep. You are feeling good. The Penguins right now could beat the 76 Canadiens. They're playing so well. 5-3 over St. Louis. We spoke last segment about Novak Djokovic. No big deal or anything. In case you missed it, he's not being allowed into Australia. Right.
That's where they hold the Australian Open.
Correct.
Just for those wondering why we cared.
It's a major championship. He's won it 9 times.
And was favored to win it a 10th.
And he was sitting right there. The plane landed. He got off it. Him and his entourage, they were having espresso. And after 6 hours, they said, yeah, you know.
But I looked up during the break. We don't allow people into this country to travel if they're unvaccinated, which means he couldn't get in for the U.S. Open.
But what if we gave him a special? I mean, you have to admit it's a little different. If by some chance we gave him a special exemption.
All right, I'm just going to stop you. Do you think we'd give a special? I mean, I know government maybe. The state of New York?
Well,
come on.
No.
Thank you.
But, he might be smart and fly to
into Jersey?
Dulles. He might fly to Dulles and drive up I-95.
Okay. I may have to fly to Miami, David, is what he may have to do.
Well, that's true. And the Tournament of Champions begins today in Hawaii. Phil's playing in it for the first time in over 20 years. But the PGA Tour, I know it actually gets underway late the year before.
This is the money grab.
There you go. It's a big cash grab for everybody who won a tournament last year.
Phil, last time to take the cash, so he thought he'd grab it.
Right.
He must not like this course.
No.
Players either love this course or absolutely hate it. So for Phil to not show up, it means he despises this golf
exactly.
course. And he won't play well either.
No, but he'll still get
his
$50
money.
Grand for showing up. And that, gentleman, was...
That was the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So a little this, little that going on in the sports world on this, the 6th of January. It's my grandfather's birthday today. He would have been 102.
That'd be something if he was still around and kicking.
I mean, and he made it to 87 as it was.
I know. That's a hell of a number. I mean, but when when you beat Betty White, you've done something.
Right. So,
so happy birthday, Gramps.
Absolutely.
Was he Gramps, Grandpa?
He was Grandpa. Actually, that's not true. He was grandfather. Okay. And I think that ties into why it is I prefer David to Dave. Okay.
Especially Davey, if you weren't calling him,
Man, unbelievable. There's like two people in the world who call me Davey, and I've let them both live, and I have no idea why. But no, it was grandmother and grandfather.
I only do it just on the slight chance that your mom's listening, so she sends you an angry text.
Yes, she does.
Punch him in the mouth.
Yes, actually, it's worse. Okay, it's a lot more violent than that. Believe me. Miller and Moulton, but. Good show lined up for you. We thought the first hour was moderately entertaining. We do have to come up with a poll question. You want to do it about Djokovic? Probably not. It'll have COVID in it. People will be turned off.
There you go.
But you got to admit, the story's interesting.
It really is. Should we allow him to be if the poll question was, should Djokovic become an honorary Florida citizen? We may get more of a response from that, David.
He could end up in Miami real soon.
Sooner than later.
Yep.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit, David.
Could you imagine that? In which you'd have the government to be like, no, you can't come here. And meanwhile, DeSantis would be there with the welcoming committee.
Yeah, going, you want a town named after you? What do you need here?
Right. Where do you want to stay? All right. We got a whole bunch of places. You can fly in the East Coast, drive across to the West Coast. It's how we roll.
Stay at one of the casinos. You can't gamble online, but hey.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So Larry Brooks of the New York Post brought up something that obviously I will find interesting. But if you're the Rangers, because the Rangers are probably one frontline winger away and probably a veteran defenseman as an upgrade on their third defensive core. But they could use a top six winger and just a solid third line D man. And they'll find somebody at the trade deadline.
Right.
But Larry Brooks said, do you go after Patrick Kane?
I would. I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you? Because I think he's someone that could get traded right now. They're terrible. They're about at the point where they're going to have to throw a rebuild at you.
Which, by the way, you figure Fleury's going to become available here for somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Colorado, do you finally just say,
all right, hang on. I love the hockey talk, but can we go back to the poll question in the show for just a second?
shit. All right.
I want to come out of the break and just let's talk about this Super Bowl somewhere else and start putting together our case of why Tampa should get it, because they were effed last year with a no crowd Super Bowl, essentially.
Ooh.
So that was what I was thinking coming out of the break, because we've only got a couple segments for the rest of the show.
Right.
I mean, we literally have 3 segments left for the rest of the show, I think. 4. I mean, yeah, we've got these 2 segments. We've got the 8:15 segment and the 9:15 segment. We've got 4 segments left. So that knocks one out.
So what's the poll question?
I
Tampa?
I just don't know how to do the Djokovic one. I don't know how you phrase it.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's my only problem, because I think it's worthy of a question, if you know what I mean. I just don't.
$30 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Bud Elliott to join us in a little more than 30 minutes time. Steve Deace as we head to Michigan to talk about Jim Harbaugh, who, by the way, did nothing yesterday.
No, he did not.
No statement of any kind refuting any of the noise that is out there concerning him potentially going back to the NFL. Not a thing. Nothing.
And you really believe that that was the tell?
Yes.
Very easy yesterday to deny any of the rumors.
Right.
I'm staying in Ann Arbor.
This is all bunk.
And he didn't do any of that.
Nope. So, interesting. At least I find it so. I think it's a tell. I think that it means there's some there.
I agree. And so do, for the record, 48% of our audience that think he's going to the NFL next year from yesterday's poll question. We will come up with a poll question. And David's nomination is about seating. We've just got to figure out how to properly word it. I think he's on to something there.
I don't know if I am or not. We've got a bunch of questions that we think are like 80.
C plus, B minus.
Yeah, and then those usually don't get a good response. So we're trying to come up with one that we think will generate a decent response.
It could just be, if the Super Bowl has to be moved, where should it be moved to?
And if you're wondering what in the wide world of sports is Mark Miller talking about, well, the NFL, because the Super Bowl is in Los Angeles, and let's be honest, they're doing things a little differently, involving shutdowns and masks and crowd size.
And fortunately, David, as much as you've complained about SoFi Stadium being built and having the breezeways, technically making it an outdoor building.
Right. It's
the saving grace of why they may still end up with a Super Bowl there.
Right.
Because if it were a dome, that's an indoor facility. And I think the contingency plan would be more like, what's the plan?
And if you're the NFL, like, let's just say, and I have no idea. Let me backtrack a little bit. I said last hour that when in amongst my football travels, that walking into the first hotel that I walk into on my road trip, I walk in, I put a mask on because I don't know what the local rules are. So I walk up to the front desk with a mask on every time. And I say, hi, my name is David. I'm from Florida. What state are we in and what are the rules? And I smile, and most everybody smiles with me. And they say, jokingly, well, you're in Minnesota and, it's come and go. If you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear one. If you're unvaccinated, please wear your mask. Okay, got it. Whatever the rules are. And that all started because about a month ago, literally in California, the governor changed the rules. And it went into effect the day that I landed in California. And so I went up to the front desk and did my spiel, and they go, well, as of today, you have to wear a mask everywhere. And I went, oh, good thing I put a mask on. And then I said, I'm not being smart. Does everywhere mean everywhere? And they said, yes, it does. Okay, good to know. I just want to know what the rules are. Don't want to get in trouble.
So with that being said, the NFL is now looking at other options in case they have to move the Super Bowl from Los Angeles.
Right. Think about that.
The leader in the clubhouse is Jarrah's place, AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas.
Right. It's big.
Makes the most sense because Jarrah runs the league.
And also it's Texas, and there's no chance of anything getting shut down.
But there's one other place that is even more Texas than Texas. It's Florida.
Right.
And they stripped Tampa of a real Super Bowl experience a year ago.
Right.
Tampa was given a Super Bowl light.
Very light.
Yes.
I mean, I don't even think it was 25% of a crowd.
No. I mean, and all of the other things, the NFL experience, all the things that go with the Super Bowl.
Yep.
If I were Tampa right now, I would be raising my hand saying, how dare you think of any other city but us? And I know you can't threaten the NFL, so I wouldn't use those exact words. I would have someone wordsmith it for me a little more nicely.
You mean you wouldn't go, how dare you, sir?
I would just be making an impassioned plea to Raj and everybody else saying, guys,
come on.
We want another chance to do this right. You know that we can. Not to mention, most of us believe Tampa will never get another Super Bowl again.
Well, we believe that because they got hosed last year and basically didn't get to enjoy the economic impact of a Super Bowl, that we think there is a chance that they are given one make good.
But when you have SoFi and Vegas and Jarrah's Place and Hard Rock, because Miami's a better Super Bowl destination than Tampa, it just is.
And the league prefers it, most importantly.
There's more history there.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Miami, New Orleans, and Los Angeles are where the three most Super Bowls have been held.
And I'd love, Tampa, and anybody listening, our folks listening in Tampa, I go, wait, we're not the same city we used to be. And you're right, you're not.
No, you're not.
You actually, Tampa should be garnering more consideration for more Super Bowls because of the growth of the city, what they've done to the downtown. It's amazing. But the NFL doesn't view it that way.
No. And for the most part, they do one city per state, and they prefer Miami to Tampa. And we think the best you could do is for every two that Miami gets, you get one. We think that's the best you could do. This is essentially, as far as cities go, Tampa's a mid-major.
Right. But then there's still the Indianapolises, the Minneapolises that occasionally get their run. So if I were Tampa, I would start a campaign today
saying, hey, if you're going to move this sucker, then you owe us one.
Yes.
And I have no idea, what's planned in the greater Tampa Bay area in mid-February, but I'd find a way to make sure there's enough hotel rooms. In fact, when the NFL calls and says, do you have enough? I would just say yes. And then I would sick my staff on it and go, find out exactly how many we have.
And then start canceling rooms on people.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you.
Let's see what it is we got to do. But now it's just a contingency.
It doesn't mean you're going to get it, but I
Right.
just really believe that Tampa should be lining themselves up to try.
I agree.
That's all.
Here's my question. How far can you go? See, it's why I believe this whole thing, that all these leagues say we need to know years in advance in order to plan one of these things. I think we're seeing right now. No, you don't. I mean, the NFL's calling up 6 weeks beforehand going, hey, Dallas, if we got to pull the plug here in 2 or 3 weeks, could you do the Super Bowl? Yeah, we could do the Super Bowl. Sure. Absolutely, we can do the Super Bowl. How much notice you going to give us? 20 days. Done. So you need to know years in advance. I don't believe that at all. Never have. I mean, it's really simple. Do you have the venue? Do you have enough hotel rooms? If the two answers are yes, what's the problem?
Well, and the second one can be done by simply canceling people out. I don't know what to tell you. It's been done millions of times for millions of people.
I mean, in Jacksonville, they brought cruise ships in to provide enough rooms. I'm not saying it went over well.
What a farce.
But they did.
What a farce. Thanks for bringing up what was the worst Super Bowl experience for most people ever.
What are you talking about? It was lovely. It was absolutely lovely.
There have been high school proms that have had more pizzazz to them than the Jacksonville area for a Super Bowl.
What are you talking about? I slept with two complete strangers in the back of their trailer. Everything was fine. Had a lovely time.
I still cannot believe this goes back, for those of you listening in the Tampa St. Pete area, it's story time with David. What Super Bowl was this?
Well, let's see. It was the 04 season. Yes, because it was the first one that Andy made, the only one he made with the Eagles. So it was the 04 season. So we're talking January of 05. You're still doing the hockey thing.
Yeah,
You're not fired yet. All right. So you're not doing the radio thing here in our first act. We're not together at all.
We're pretty close.
No, you're about a month away from getting fired.
Right.
And then,
we're pretty close to working in the same building.
Right. But I'm still doing my own thing in the afternoons, and we're going to the Super Bowl. It's in Florida. Of course we're going to the Super Bowl. What kind of a show is it if the Super Bowl's in your state and you're not there? Now, meanwhile, the only thing we have are credentials.
And to say that getting things expensed was difficult.
No, it was impossible.
Put it this way, Djokovic had a better shot at getting into Australia than we did of getting an expense reimbursed. So with that being said, if I recall this right, David, you went on air to basically say we want to go to the Super Bowl. We have credentials, but we don't have anywhere to stay.
Right. Is anybody headed to Jacksonville for the Super Bowl? And if so, could we just bum a couch, sleep on the floor? I don't know. I mean, just provide a driveway. We'll sleep in the car, something.
And you got an offer.
Yes. Lovely family. They were driving up in their camper. They had a satellite dish. They had an NFL Network, Mark.
I don't even know if you had it on cable then, David.
I know. People weren't even getting it in their homes. Here we were. We drove to Jacksonville. We had the NFL Network. A bed, a shower, and the NFL Network? Are you serious?
A shower? In the camper, or did you have to go to the...
No. In the camper. In the camper. Water was hot. I was very impressed.
So, David and our longtime producer, John Cassio, who was with David for several years before I joined up with David, and with us for, damn near a decade, stayed in a trailer with two complete strangers.
Correct. And I remember Mark calling me, still with the hockey team at the time, going, "Are you nuts? They could be axe murderers for all you know." I go, "Come on.
They listen to sports radio. How could they be bad people?"
They're a lovely couple. They used to live in the north, and now they live down here. They're taking in a Super Bowl.
All right, couple of things, and I'm going to embarrass you, I think. I hope I don't. Do you remember their names?
No, I do not.
So was there any contact with this couple post Super Bowl?
I think just an email or two. Hey, thanks a lot. Hope we had a lot of fun.
Send them a T-shirt?
No.
You didn't pay him anything.
I bought him dinner.
You bought him dinner.
Bought him dinner one night.
To put up with the two of you for 3-4 days.
They thought it was like, this is so fun. This is like adding to our adventure. We kept apologizing. Are you sure this is okay? John was convinced we were going to be stabbed in the middle of the night.
I was too.
It's so funny that you two, saw the worst in people.
Oh, I don't know what could be so bad that a random couple said, "Come on, stay in our trailer where we could drive off in the middle of the night and you could never be heard from again."
So it was closer to Georgia than Jacksonville. And it was a trailer park in the middle of the nowhere, and it was not well lit. What could go wrong? It was spectacular. And I took John, to a country fried chicken joint. And he had the best chicken of his life. And he was terrified the whole time. It was great.
You did make that young man grow up on that trip. I will tell you this much. He did more for his young education than Collier County schools had done in the 12 years that they had them.
If Troy Aikman had come with us, he would have been able to grow facial hair when that trip was done. Absolutely.
Miller and Moulton, Bud Elliott, a mere 15 minutes away right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
That is.
There's that statue, Philly, if you haven't seen it. Oh, you missed it. You kind of see it in the back there.
I saw it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I wonder how big it'll actually be.
Little big. 10 foot. 10, 12 foot of a man, and then the ball, probably 14, 15 feet in the air. You got to have it.
A statue that I really like is the Shaq Center that they have outside of this. My bad. Not the Staples Center. The Crypto.com Arena.
I will say, when he goes to Cowboys games and they put him on the jumbo screen,
Yeah.
place goes pretty nuts.
I mean, he's like their hero.
Well, you got to remember, it's Texas. They don't really give a shit about basketball.
Right.
Okay. And he's not American. All right. But I'm telling you, whenever he's at a Cowboys game and they put him on the Jumbotron, the place responds very favorably. I mean, more so than I think most people, not you who thinks the NBA is everything, but most people would think that the Cowboy fan would react to Dirk Nowitzki.
Look, I get it. It's Texas. Obviously, they care about football and football and football. But you have to remember that the Mavericks, I don't know if you know this.
I love when Felipe starts talking to you and telling you history. Go, Felipe, please.
The Mavericks are top 5 in attendance every year in the NBA.
Yeah, they're very
fans show up.
But you have to remember that an average Mavs game is 20% the crowd of a Cowboys game.
I mean, the New York Rangers, the New York Rangers sell out. The New York Rangers sell out every night too. Okay, I'm just telling you.
It's about 18,000.
But do you know what the story is in New York? There's 18,000 Ranger fans,
and they all go to the game.
Okay,
that's the joke.
So I would equate the same thing to Dallas. There's 100,000 Mavs fans and 20,000 go to the games every night.
The other thing is that I don't know really what the crossover appeal. Like that's my thing. It's not that Dirk's not awesome. Of course, Dirk was amazing. All right. But, the Cowboy fans, there are a lot of people that are at that game in which that's really the only team they care about.
Yeah, of course. But
so the fact that they react as positively towards Dirk as they do, I found surprising.
Well, think about this. Him and Hakeem Olajuwon, 2 greatest Texas basketball players. Obviously not native. Well, actually, Hakeem played.
No, Hakeem's not
he's from
a Texas
Africa,
native.
right?
He's from another
I
country.
know he's from Africa, but he went to Houston.
Oh my God!
Right.
He did go to Houston. We watched him play.
Yes, I didn't because I wasn't alive. But
at some point, I'm going to start running into the wall head first.
The Germans bump roller. He's not a roller.
You know when they put? Did you ever see the movie Hooper?
Honorary test.
The Burt Reynolds stuntman movie. Bradshaw's in it. They get in a fight with Bradshaw, but at one point, Burt Reynolds goes to get the money. Bradshaw gets mad because they're hooping it up, and Bradshaw's group can't hear the jukebox. So Reynolds puts a football helmet on, gets like a bull, runs into the jukebox, hands Bradshaw his 50 cents back, and then they get into a big brawl, then they all party together. But but I kind of feel like I want that helmet right now. Hooper is an underrated movie.
Really? I have to check it out.
It's old. I mean, it's the whole thing. It's basically his ode to the stuntman, because that's what he was. Cheesy.
No.
You're gonna have to follow me because I couldn't give you the address if I tried. I don't even know what the address is.
Okay.
I know that I make a right, a right, a right.
So you just know where to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Bradshaw spitting out his teeth. There you go. See, Yinzer's seen it.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Short segment here. What do you got? You need a poll question, damn it.
But I want that helmet. Where is the helmet? That I have not seen, Hops. Seen bits, but not the whole thing.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Bud Elliott to join us in less than 15 minutes. We'll talk a lot of college football, considering that's what he does for a living. So we could talk about other things, but I figure we'll start there.
Makes perfect sense. We're still looking for a poll question.
We really are. We've got 3 of them that we think are above average, none of them that we think are good. So we're looking for good. We'll take suggestions at this point.
At this point, we may have to, David. I will say, I do think this whole Super Bowl getting moved thing is a fascinating story, though.
We could go with it.
I don't know about a poll question, but I mean, I just think right now that the NFL is having to look at a contingency plan, because I don't think they'd be doing this if the Super Bowl was anywhere but California.
I agree.
And I wonder, it won't deny them Super Bowls. Don't ever think that I'm trying to imply that. Will it hurt the number of times they get in the rotation if a Super Bowl's moved?
I don't think so. I mean, Kroenke took $5 billion out of his own pocket, built this stadium, agreed to pay all the lawyer costs with the city of St. Louis, built a stadium in which he agreed to house the NFL Network there for like $1. I mean, it provides a home for the Chargers, who are like a lost franchise, a lost puppy, if you will. That's the franchise that I think should move. Now, I know they're spending quite a few $1 million building this state-of-the-art practice facility. I mean, if I own the Chargers, I'd be moving.
Well, I'd be moving to London.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm not leaving Los Angeles to go. Now, I know St. Louis has already come and gone, but I would never even contemplate leaving in LA to go to a mid-market type place, if you know what I mean.
So the Prime Minister of Australia has sent out a tweet. Mr. Djokovic's visa has been canceled. Rules are rules, especially when it comes to our borders. I'm sorry. I know there are 17 people that care about this story. I think it is far and away the best story in sports right now. The number 1 player in the world gets a special exemption from the tournament. He and his entourage get on the private plane. They fly to Australia. They get off the plane. They say, hey, this will just take a minute. We need to review your paperwork and all that. It's probably just a formality. Why don't you make yourself comfortable in the lounge? 6 hours later, they go, hope you got that sucker gassed up because you need to go back from whence you came.
Well, I think they weren't that rude. I think they'd say, your pilot can use the fuel lodge and refuel the plane before you get your asses out of our country. We don't want you to run out of gas while you're leaving the island, if you know what I mean.
Now, it's my understanding they have filed an emergency injunction to what is the equivalent of the Australian Supreme Court.
when the prime minister's throwing tweets out like that, I don't think your appeal is going to do all that well.
No, when the prime minister's saying, quote, rules are rules. And of course, Djokovic and his people are going, well, then why did the tournament let us in?
Well, the tournament doesn't run the country.
You guys don't talk to one another? I mean, we wouldn't have gone through this whole thing if we thought we were going to fly.
See, I don't believe that. I think he would have gone. I think that he had to know that this was still a possibility. I think he thought that he was going to be able to thumb his nose at an entire country and do what he wanted to do, despite the fact that the rules clearly stated he wasn't going to get let in. And David, I'm with you. You and I are Joker fans. I like him. I find him amusing. But because I find him amusing, I actually believe he thought he could pull this off.
Well, yeah, I think once he got the exemption from the tournament, he figured, we're home free.
Now I wonder in his case, France, the UK, and the US. Those are the other majors. Good luck.
You think he gets his injunction?
No. I don't think there is a chance.
It's not a good
I think
look.
there's a better chance of you communicating with the people whose trailer you stayed in Jacksonville 15 years ago.
They're very nice people. They were
I'm
based
sure
out
they
of
are.
Naples. All right. If you're listening right now, feel free to reach out.
Let us know if you want to let David borrow the trailer anytime soon.
Who knows? The Super Bowl could be in our backyard at this rate. May need a place to stay. That would be great. Get a rescheduled Super Bowl, get it in Florida.
Hey,
you're right. If you're Tampa, you got to go public.
You've got to raise your hand and go public and say,
Yeah.
how dare you even consider Dallas when you took it over? Where are the leaders in being open?
Yeah, they were jealous of us.
Right. We're the leaders in best around here. We're singing the Victor's Fight song about how we do business in the state of Florida. You're not going to Texas.
We came through for you last year. There weren't many places you could have had this game. But if nothing else, you go public because you get the NFL to commit to, you're right. We probably owe you one.
That's it.
And we've got the next few mapped out, but there's no reason why we can't put you in there and give you a little something before the decade's out.
And you can't honk them off, so you can't do it Miller and Moulton style.
Right. Have to be diplomatic.
Right.
Which we know nothing about.
Did you guys go to last year's Super Bowl?
No.
No. No.
Not.
Well,
why? The bigger question would be to why. There was no one there.
Yeah,
there was no one
COVID
coming.
also.
There was no Radio Row. There were no people to interview. There was no reason to be there.
Technically, there was a Radio Row, and we're not joking. There were like 12 stations there. But the reason why we didn't go, and we had credentials, the reason we didn't go was because there were no one that was going. In theory, you could get them on the phone on your show just as readily as you could because they were not going to show up and work Radio Row.
Right.
Normally, they all come with their handlers, and you sign up, and they literally go from table to table as to, you've committed to WJR in Buffalo. They're over here to the left. Okay.
And literally, we send a U around.
Yes.
To go by the big market stations and hoard PR people to try to get us interviews that are above when we were just on in Fort Myers. Now, it'll be a different animal when we go to one of these with the network and we're on in, hopefully by then, 10, 12 markets. Then it's a completely different animal. When you're a Fort Myers Naples affiliate, you're not getting the A-list guests unless you con a PR person into giving you an A-list guest, which we were pretty good at.
Now, if you're DAE in Tampa and what have you, they'll bring them to you. Okay, but there are a few guests, the few really A-listers that come to the building. Yeah, you follow them around like a puppy dog. You just want to be there for the PR person to go, we're at the bottom of the hour, remember us?
We got Chris Rock and David Spade on together at the second Tampa Super Bowl, and we got them simply because a PR person couldn't find a radio station. And there was a young lady, not much older than you, Felipe, and you could see it. Both John Cassio and I could see the deer in the headlights look out of this young lady because she had Chris Rock, and we didn't know who she had, but you could see her face that she was in a pure panic, that she didn't know where the station was. And we just kind of looked at her and said, who are you trying to find? And I don't remember what station it was, but it was.
But we took her to them.
Yeah. And we said, who do you have? And she goes, well, help me find the station. And we were just kind of like, all right, you owe us. And we found the station. And I mean, the weight of the world came off this girl's shoulders. And we didn't know who she had. And 30 minutes later, we had the funniest man in the world sitting across from us.
Like here?
Not in the studio, at Radio Row.
Yeah, Radio Row. Wow.
But yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's how it works.
And I will never forget it.
That's why we didn't go. There was no benefit to being there. In fact, the stations in Tampa actually posted some pretty funny pictures on their social media accounts last year of them literally sitting there by themselves in a convention center. Okay, it was pretty funny stuff.
So,
and the other side of Radio Row, and we would love to go back when Super Bowls are in the state. We plan on going to a few more Super Bowls, but Radio Row from David's first trip in Jacksonville. I think that was your first Super Bowl Radio Row, right?
Well, kind of.
In this market.
Yes.
And then we were together when we went to Miami. And at that point, Radio Row was at its height. Radio Row was a big deal. Since then, the Dan Patrick shows of the world go set up there at another location. They get somebody to pay them to be wherever. Colin Cowherd does the same thing with, the ESPN guys. So they used to all be in Radio Row. They're no longer there, which means the A-list guests don't necessarily even come to Radio Row.
Right.
They just go to the Dan Patrick show and the Colin Cowherd show and things of that nature.
And you're referring to Miami in 2020?
No, Miami had its Super Bowl in 2006. Well, both Colts Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right. The 2006 season, the 2009 season.
Mm-hmm.
So we were at those two. Tampa was in between the tremendous Cardinals Steelers game.
That's right.
That's when we saw Jonathan Ogden, who was a human eclipse, and everybody who was standing around him, we could not see. He was so big.
We've had a great show relationship with Joe Theismann over the years, and we had just had Joe on, and Joe leaves and sees Ogden, and they're friendly with one another. Jonathan Ogden hugged Joe Theismann, and Joe Theismann disappeared.
Couldn't see him at all. We were at two different angles in the room, and neither one of us could see Theismann.
If you're on twitch.tv, you will see Bud Elliott on the other side. If you're listening on the Florida Sports Network, you will hear Bud Elliott on the other side. As we said, Miller and Moulton. Bud Elliott next, Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you send him?
I did.
Lance Stevenson has one of my favorite nicknames. Born Ready. Lance.
Shane text Greg, great segment. I remember all of what he talked about. And he's like, you're darn right. Better chance of getting reimbursed. LOL.
Wait, is he the guy that hugs?
He's the business
He's
guy.
the business manager in this building. He would have been the one that would have
wrote.
wrote the checks. He still owes me $1,100. Hey, bud.
What's going on, guys?
How are you?
I'm doing well. What y'all up to?
How's everybody doing?
Doing pretty good. Doing the sleep training beginning. So
Yep. Hey,
Is this for you
Did
or
I-
the
did-
child?
Bud, I think I've told you this before. How to Get 12 Hours of Sleep by 12 Weeks. It is a book, and I'm not messing around. We did it with our daughter. how to get 12 hours of sleep by 12 weeks. I've literally given it to every person who's had a baby shower since we had our child. It worked.
We did something similar. I think the main thing is just like establish a program and really be militant with it for about 12 weeks, not going out, just being kind of a disciple of the book. We used Moms on Call, which was really, really good. He's, yesterday was day 2. So the main thing is his brother's like getting up at night as well, because their rooms are right next to each other and they have a shared bathroom. So, it's
lovely.
Liam's like, Hudson is crying. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be like that for a little bit, dude. So,
And you don't have to get up just because he's crying. We got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to watch some film with me, son?
Yeah. Like, do you want to dig into this matchup here?
By the way, I'll probably mention it on air, but Bud, the Transfer Portal 24/7 page is flipping awesome.
Thank you.
It is awesome. Every day I come in, like I said to David, how many guys hit the portal? He guessed way high. I'm like 22 yesterday. 22 hit the portal. It is crazy.
We have almost 1,500 in the portal now.
Your site's terrific, by the way. It's really, really good.
Thank you. It's going to be very useful for me in off-season handicapping this year as well. Seeing the back end of this and figuring out who left and who came back and whatnot.
Well, on that, it would be interesting too, Bud. You've got the rankings of the teams winning in the transfer. What if you had a top 10 on there of the, teams who are losing the most star power?
That's actually a pretty good idea that I need to see if I can sneak by some people. Because they're like, we have all these team sites we contract with, so they hate negative news. But,
I got you. But like Auburn right now is losing guys right and left.
I was going to say somebody should put up a sign. Last one left. Turn out the lights.
I mean, look, guys. I think Harshen gets fired after next year, and have thought that for. Since September.
I thought there was a chance he would get fired between.
Well, the federal appeals thing is slowing this thing up, and the Supreme Court's almost certainly going to take the case. So I think January 24th is when they rule on that one, and then the Supreme Court will take it. So, there's a pretty good chance that the vax stuff does not get him out.
I was going to say, does he make spring ball?
He'll make spring ball.
It would be so Auburn, by the way, to fire him during spring ball. That would be so Auburn.
They have told this is not something I can report because I don't have two.
Well, then don't say it.
Don't say it. Too many people are in Twitch.
Oh, got it. Yeah. If I had to put money on it, I think he's 2 years and done.
Well, and he's such a warm personality too. So
yeah, for sure. And we officially don't know if he's got the shot or not. He just refuses to say.
Right. Including to tell his bosses. And I know if I was his boss, that would really go over well.
Yeah.
With me. So I hired you.
You like that certainty level you have there?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm entitled to a few. I'm the one that hired your ass. I think I'm entitled to you answering my questions.
15 seconds.
I think that's fair.
10 seconds.
All right, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the hour, Bud Elliott of 24/7 Sports, Cover 3 Podcast, No Cast, and a whole host of things. Kind enough to join us once again. You can follow Bud on Twitter, Bud Elliott3, Bud Elliott3. If you want to email him just about anything or who he likes in Bama, Georgia, budelliottcfb@gmail.com. Bud, a belated Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year, guys. I'm doing well. Excited to talk a little more college football, and we have one game left.
We have one game left, but before Bud, first off, I said it off air, love the 24/7 site, love the transfer portal part of it, but it is now my morning. It is replaced going to the Score app to check NBA and NHL scores. The first thing I do when I get in here every morning is pull up your website and see how many new players have entered the portal. Today it's 22. How many players are in the transfer portal right now?
So 1,500 players from FBS have entered so far.
Come on, tell me it's messy, but isn't this spectacular? I mean, this could last 2 years. We may look back on this in 20 years and go, man, wasn't that something? That was nuts. Or who knows? Maybe this is how it's going to be till the end of time. But don't you just find this so spectacularly delicious?
I do, and I will say that the schools caused this in part, specifically the level of craziness, and a quick math breakdown. So in order to entice everybody to play college football in the year 2020, which remember, we had the pandemic, we really didn't understand the pandemic fully at that time. A lot of kids didn't want to play because they might lose a year of eligibility on a season that was only 3 or 4 games. So the NCAA, in its infinite wisdom, and I agree with them at this point, said, hey, if you play this year, you do not lose a year of eligibility for playing in this wacky COVID season. Okay, cool. So basically, you get an extra senior year when it comes time to have your senior year. For 2021, those super seniors or COVID seniors or whatever you want to call them, they did not count against the scholarship cap. Okay, that's great. I think that's actually the right way to do that. However, the schools, particularly a lot of the lower level schools and the schools that don't have a ton of money, they voted to reduce the cap back down to 85 and to have those seniors count against the scholarship cap in this year and all future years. So all of a sudden you have all these kids with extra eligibility, but not space at their current school. So that is, I believe, a significant chunk of what is happening in the portal right now. You have guys who have the extra year of eligibility granted, and the schools are like, well, hey, congrats on the extra year. Can't really take it here, but if you can find some place to redeem that coupon, go right ahead. And so they hit the portal. And I think we have 2 more years of this, quite obviously, because anybody who played in 2020, so 21, 22, 23, 24, I'm interested to see what this thing looks like in 25 and 26 when we don't have all these super seniors on the ledger.
Well, while it's going on, the craziness is just, it's absurd right now. And it seems that we talked about this yesterday, but I don't think there's ever been a time for the middle to bottom of Power 5 conferences to turn around their fate. A school like, when I looked at you have on the 24/7, the top 10 schools that transfer. USF is number 1 for the moment, but I saw Kansas on there. That's a school to me. There's no high school football players in Kansas. There's no real way for them to be a dominant team, but there's sure as hell a way for them to be competitive quickly in the portal.
There's no doubt about it. Look, you are not going to win a title basing your team, I don't think, on portal players, but you could win a title, or excuse me, you could really improve your lot quite a bit if you hit on enough competent guys, if you have a lot of playing time to sell. I know Michigan State did that this past year, right? Alabama has, I think, 1 transfer starting. I think Georgia has 1 transfer starting. But there are teams, absolutely, USF's taking a ton of transfers. That roster is going to take a long time to flip. Jeff Scott's in that interesting situation where, that first class you signed, probably not going to be very good. We've seen that historically in the early signing period era. And then his next year of recruiting was a COVID year. So that was also quite difficult to evaluate prospects when you couldn't bring anybody onto campus. So obviously they're behind from where they want to be, I believe, from the high school recruiting standpoint. And they're looking to put a Band-Aid on it with some transfers as they try to make it up. And I think their administration realizes how far they have to go, largely due to circumstances outside of the coaching staff's control. And they gave him an extension this past week. So you can definitely improve your lot quite a bit with transfers, unless you're trying to win at that super elite level. For the most part, the guys who are going to the league, most of them don't transfer. I actually categorize transfers in like 7 different categories. I don't know if you guys are interested in hearing those.
Fire away.
All right, let's do it. All right. So number 1 was ran out of drug tests, right?
Okay.
And I'm serious about this.
I know that you are. Doesn't make it any less funny.
100%. So there are kids out there that the school staffs love. The staff doesn't really give a damn if the kid smokes a lot of weed. But some schools have very different testing policies than other schools do.
Right.
And I know of a lot of examples of good players who are in the portal who are not behavioral problems, who ran out of drug tests they can pass at their current school, including one major SEC starter this year who went SEC to SEC. The school was not happy to lose him. They're like, damn it, like the school's making us kick him out because he tested positive too many times. Then we have behavioral or grades issues. Like these are kids who actually probably will be a problem for you. Coaching change casualty. So like last year, all the Tennessee guys went when their coach bolted, way late. The kid who wants to return home, kind of the prodigal son there. The impatient blue chipper, depth chart logjam, which is kind of the same thing. And then, of course, the transfer up, the bigger stage, which is a little thing I'm worried about for our sport overall. We are having a lot of kids jump in from FCS and G5 looking to make, to move up to that bigger stage, which then again, I mean, we talk about which coach from the MAC or the CUSA or the AAC will make the jump to the big stage, which is really no different than what we do with the coaching market or with any, job market out there. But I'm sure if you're a G5 coach, you're not loving having to, fight the possibility that your best player is going to transfer up every season.
But it's interesting that you say that because we just did the Sun Bowl and Central Michigan was the late addition against Washington State. And they've got a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver in which literally as the game is going on, the running back is sensational. The running back looks like Le'Veon Bell. He's amazing.
Very patient runner.
Yeah, you are looking at him and thinking to yourself, well, obviously a whole bunch of schools missed on him, and they have to be flooding him with offers right now going, come on, dude, leave the MAC. You can come play for us. I mean, honestly, I'm watching him run thinking to myself, that guy could start at Georgia.
Yeah.
And you wonder whether or not, and if they all come back, and they're all underclassmen, if they all come back, McElwain's got a really good salty team next year. And if they all leave, they're going to win 4 games.
Oh, for sure. I mean, not to mention, like, look at Akron's quarterback, the kid that just transferred to Georgia Tech. He's pretty good. The rest of those Akron quarterbacks were terrible. So there's a ton of uncertainty. And if you're a MAC school, you're not really going to know what your fate looks like in the fall, probably until that May 21st deadline, which I believe is the date that you have to declare to jump in the portal if you want to be eligible for the fall.
He's Bud Elliott, 24/7 Sports, Cover 3 podcast, Nolecast. And Bud, we're going to get to Alabama, Georgia here in a bit. I do want to ask you one blanket question. The three of us are willing to embrace this craziness, this madness. We follow you on Twitter. We see you, people who say that, they hate this, and you, for the most part, like us, defend it. Can you play devil's advocate for a second, though? Is there a part of you who makes his living on college football that is a little concerned that this could be a little too crazy for this to sustain?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. There's no doubt that there is a level of craziness right now that I think makes everybody uncomfortable. What if you make your living on college football putting out magazines? I write for one of those magazines in the off season and do some freelance work for them. When do you want to hit publish on that thing?
Yeah. And, we all, and it's funny. And I think probably the one you're talking, Phil Steele's the Bible that we all use in this sport.
Yeah.
When does he go to publication with that?
He likes to go to print, mid-June and have the first issues out July 4th. Ish, and certainly by the end of July. And is that too soon?
I mean, it could be. I need to check when the exact. I believe that the transfer, the date to get in the portal, I believe, is the 21st.
So, do you think that needs to be moved up? I mean, does that need to be?
No,
April 1?
They did move it up because this year I think it was like July or something crazy because of all the weirdness of the.
Okay.
We didn't even get the ruling on the immediate eligibility until pretty late this year. I think May is an appropriate date there because of the fact that some spring games don't end until like late April, right? So you need to kind of figure out where you are on the depth chart and have your post-spring exit interviews, if you will, before you make your informed decision on the portal. What I might suggest, though, is you shouldn't just be able to, like, as long as you're in the portal by the 21st, you shouldn't be able to probably hang out all summer and then decide where you're going to play in late August. We may need to have an enrolled deadline as well, just to have some kind of roster certainty for these things, and then maybe make an exception if the head coach leaves or something like that.
But I'm just curious, my last question before the championship game, what's the vibe you're getting from people that aren't in the business? Because I play golf with a lot of guys who despise this. Every day I'm on the putting green and someone goes, this transfer thing. And I just kind of laugh at him and, okay, Mr. Eastwood, go back in your cart and I'll meet you on the first tee. But it seems to be an age thing for me of complaints. What are you getting?
So for me, like I go to these recruiting camps, right? And I see these players. And so I'm like, there's no difference between these guys and the coaches, right? I mean, like what coaches have been able to have this mobility pretty much forever. And people say, well, hey, the coaches have to pay a buyout if they leave. I'm like, right. That's like a non-compete issue that they can buy themselves out of. You can't really put non-competes on people that you fight very stringently in the courts to claim are not employees. That like non-competes on non-employees is not really a winning legal formula. But I get it though, because we've had this model for so long that the NCAA pretty brilliantly, has crafted over about 60 or 70 years here since World War II to basically declare these guys as amateurs. And now that the players are waking up a little bit, it is going to rub, I think, a lot of people the wrong way. But I don't think they're going to quit watching for the most part.
You think, right, for 10 seconds, if you were commissioner of the sport, you think that it's okay that the sport is now openly, blatantly being professionalized? Like literally, we are going to be able to document how much money Texas A&M has spent this offseason to buy recruits. And
I don't think you're going to see that publicly, because A&M is not the one spending the money. Their outside companies probably affiliated with boosters are. If they want to come under the payroll and start paying these guys salaries, which the schools, this is why the NCAA is fine with name, image, and likeness, because it's not really coming out of their pocket.
Bingo. And that's why I'm fired up to see between the Gator Collective with how they're doing it with the membership and how like the Texas and the Kentucky are doing. I think it's fascinating down the road, but we got to get to Monday, bud. We're running low on time. Why is Monday going to be different than the SEC championship, or is it not going to be different?
I actually think it will be different. Look, I know when you have a team that's really good on defense and a team that's really good on offense, you should bet on the offense because the defense is traditionally less predictive. Like offensive stats are more predictive. And in this case, Bama's a better offense and Georgia is a better defense. But I go back and I watch that game. Alabama broke out a lot of stuff for that game that Georgia was not ready for at the time, stuff they really hadn't showed as much in other games. Well, they've spent that bullet. Georgia has been able to practice that stuff more. They had guys, trying to jam the point and missing or guessing. And you got to think Georgia's going to rep that stuff and make Alabama play another card if it can. And the other thing was people were like, hey, they didn't get pressure on Bryce Young. The hell they didn't. They got a lot of pressure on Bryce Young. Bryce Young dodged that pressure and made a bunch of really big time throws. If you recall, after that game, we're like, oh yeah, there's no doubt Bryce Young is the Heisman. I mean, he made a ton of really great plays in that game, in addition to some pass coverages that Georgia busted. And then Stetson Bennett, threw the pick six, which was unfortunate. I'm not saying that stuff can't happen again. I'm just saying the combination of factors for Alabama, surprising Georgia, Bennett throwing the pick six when he really had played pretty well for the most part of the year. Not great, but good enough. And then Bryce just playing by far the best game I think he's ever played relative to competition and pressure level. I think that's hard to repeat that. Alabama does not play at that Georgia level every week. They didn't play at that level last week, by the way. Cincinnati did some things that bothered them. So,
All right. It's very quickly. It's Georgia -2.5. The over-under's 52. Which play do you like better?
I actually think the over is a better play here. I think you can score a little bit on Alabama's defense. My one concern here,
very quickly,
center and right tackle. Who's healthy for Bama? They haven't really given an update yet.
He's Bud Elliott, 24/7 Sports, Nolecast. Well, just email him, budelliottcfb@gmail.com. Follow him on Twitter at BudElliott3. Bud, all the best to you and the family.
See you guys.
Bud Elliott joining us, Miller and Moulton.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, damn. I was supposed to text Rob.
He covers the Eagles.
Philly sports.
Okay.
Doesn't mean he wants to have a Sixers
I
conversation.
know. But when I call him, I can be like, hey, Joel's looking great.
Sure, that'll really intrigue him.
Well, Jalen Hurts is looking even better.
Well, he hasn't yet, Chi-Town. Can he? Of course. Will he?
So I get in the car yesterday after the show, David.
I say yes, by the way.
I get in the car after the show yesterday. And channel 104 on Sirius is a David Bowie channel right now. And so I just happened to flip it on. And what is he singing? A cover of Springsteen's Growing Up. I mean, the fact that we talked about Asbury Park yesterday, I was like, well, I'll be damned. It was okay.
No, I didn't see that, actually. Recreating the 01 Hurricanes locker room? I gotta make a phone call.
Oh, I love this. Tell me you have 1681 and today was the day when.
Actually, I think I passed on it. Yes, I passed on it.
The Butcher and the Butler?
Yeah. I passed on it.
That's fine. That gives me something for an omission.
I started with 1861. Florida troops seize federal arsenal in Apalachicola.
7th floor crew, yes.
I don't know what he just did there.
I have no idea.
My fear is that it went over the air.
It's always mine.
Rob's on hold. Sorry about missing the cue, by the way. That's my bad.
Oh, no, you gave us the 2-minute cue. Then I knew you were zoning out. It's just a matter of getting your attention.
No,
That's all.
I know.
We knew we were down to under a minute.
Yeah.
It was just looking for a specific time. Wow.
Ten seconds.
Gary Sinise tweeted out yesterday, apparently, the oldest living WW2 vet pass.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
For those of you living in the 239, we are halfway home. For those of you in Tampa, St. Pete, it's the final hour of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. The Florida Sports Network will head to Michigan in a little more than a half an hour. Steve Deace will join us as Jim Harbaugh sticking around. And an hour from now, we'll be in Cleveland to do a little therapy and talk with Andy Baskin. But right now, Rob Ellis is kind enough to join us for the first time in 2022. He of 94 WIP in Philly. He also does a little work for the local CBS affiliate. Rob, we have never asked you this as we wish you a belated Happy New Year. So at Temple, what courses do you teach? What is it that the young people who are about to make no money want to learn?
The history of sport in Philadelphia, and that will continue to have them making no money. Yes, that is that is the course. And it's not just your general. Hey, in 1901, Connie Mack did this. No, we kind of a lot of guest speakers. We get them set for life, hopefully. But that's a nice little. I need my therapy session, not just the Cleveland guys. Okay, when do I get mine? Can I lay down on the couch?
Go. Yeah, I mean, we were planning on at least 10 to 12 minutes with you. You can take up as much of that as you'd like.
Rob, how is your relationship with the Eagles these days?
Well, listen, it started in childhood. No, how's my relationship? I will say this, guys. I went into this season without any expectations. It's not an easy thing to do as a fan or a media member, but I really didn't. There were two things that I wanted to see. Could the head coach coach, and is the quarterback of the future? Whatever happened beyond that was gravy. This, to me, it couldn't have played out better. I mean, Nick Sirianni, it was kind of the laughing stock early in the season from a lot of people, and really pulled this thing together. And the thing that stood out to me, even when there were the jokes made, he made this reference to, plants blooming and all this other, and everybody was just like, give me a break. But you could see the veteran guys, the Jason Kelsey's, really bought into it, and that kind of told you something a little bit. Now, are they the benefactor of an easy schedule? Sure they are. But you've seen a lot of other teams that started off 2-5 just go into the tank, and they didn't, and I think that's a credit to him. So, to me, this is all bonus, man. Whatever happens in that wild card round, I can live with. It's not like it was 2017 or 2018 when this team had real expectations. This is a young, in a lot of ways, very young team, inexperienced team, and they've exceeded my expectation for sure.
And you believe Jalen Hurts is the quarterback going forward now? Like, he's the guy?
I'm not sold yet. Here's the way I would put it with Jalen Hurts. I think he's earned himself another year, considering the quarterback crop coming out doesn't have that guy in my estimation. They have some players who I think could blossom into that, but there's not that lock for me. So you look at it from that perspective when you have 3 first-rounders, or what's the reality that you're going to get Aaron Rodgers if he's going to leave? I don't think he's going to leave in Green Bay, but an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell Wilson, and who knows with Deshaun Watson. And to me, if it's not one of those caliber players and there isn't that stud home run Joe Burrow type coming out, I say you roll the dice again another year. He's developed. He's certainly improved. If there's one knock, to me, it's the arm strength. But there's a lot of intangibles there that I think play well. His feet, obviously, are a big deal. That's tangible. He's gotten better at throws, but there's still throws that he misses that a big-time quarterback can make. And that's my reservation. But he certainly would earn another year for me.
talking with Rob Ellis, 94 WIP in Philadelphia. How many players away do you think they are? Because doesn't that help determine whether or not you're going to give up 2 or more of those draft picks to go get a veteran quarterback? Or if you think, listen, we go put a Russell Wilson on this very same team next year, we go from a 9-win team to a 12-win team.
Yeah, I don't. I think they're an elite pass rusher. They don't get to the quarterback nearly enough, and that's where you're really going to see it when they play excellent quarterbacks, like you're going to once you get to the postseason. They're an elite pass rusher. They're a big time, I think, veteran complementary receiver to go with Devontae Smith, who's had a really nice rookie year. I think his numbers would be better if he was playing with one of those A-level quarterbacks. But they drafted Jalen Reagor the year before, and he's been an absolute bust, and there isn't much else there from a receiving standpoint, even though they've tried to draft receivers. They need another receiver. They need, like I said, an elite pass rusher. They could use a linebacker. We've been saying that in Philadelphia. They haven't drafted a linebacker in the first round in Philadelphia since 1979. So that's something else when you see a Micah Parsons, and I know he's playing a little bit of defensive end, wreaking havoc. They're the areas they need to address. This is far from a complete team, guys. They need a lot of help, and they're fortunate they're playing in the division that they're playing in with the schedule they're playing, this year for sure.
Well, in Rob, the Dolphins have done nothing to help. There was a time there before that 7-game winning streak. It looked like you could have handled a lot of these problems very early in the draft, but that 7-game win streak did not help Philly's chances in the draft. Just the little things with Hurts, and I know it has nothing to do with football, but when I watched that whole little collapsing of the fence, and then I saw Hurts putting his arm around fans and taking pictures, to me, those are the things that endear you to a crowd base. I would think his Q rating went up tenfold after that.
Yeah, I mean, that was unbelievable. The poise as a human being. I don't know about you guys. That thing's coming down close to me. I'm like Usain Bolt headed the other way. He just sidestepped it like it was, some defensive lineman coming after him. And then he's lifting guys up, taking selfies. Yeah, that's the kind of person he is. His teammates love him. I mean, guys were quoting him last year as a rookie when he took over for Wentz. Veteran players. I mean, that tells you all you need to know. The work ethic's there. This guy's a gym rat. His dad was a high school coach in Houston. I mean, he is that guy in terms of preparation, in terms of maturity, in terms of getting it. So all those things are there. Really what it amounts to for him is the ability to throw the ball. I think the fan base has come around on him. It's like any other city. The quarterback position is always going to be polarizing, and there's always going to be those who doubt him. And I think it's fair to have questions with him. But I think there are a lot of things that you saw this year from him that make you feel really good about him. And I think next year's a really nice, another season to kind of give him that test, to see where things are. And then if you don't think he's the guy, then go hard. The other thing is, in his defense, he doesn't have a ton, like I said, at the receiver spot. They have an unbelievable running game, which benefits any quarterback, that's for sure, and a great offensive line. And Dallas Goedert's a really strong tight end. I'd like to see them get him another receiver and see what he can do if that was the case.
He's Rob Ellis, 94 WIP in Philadelphia. Also does some work on the local CBS station. You can follow Rob on Twitter at @REllisSports. That @REllisSports. The 2 times I've been to Philadelphia this football season, every time I turned on your station, all you guys were talking about is Ben Simmons. Is that being talked about at all anymore, or is that sufficiently, if something happens, we'll let you know?
Well, I think that heat's getting cranked up again, likely when the Eagles season ends. And that's when the focus is really going to get hard on the Sixers. They've been fortunate that they played better basketball of late, but they've been a very up and down team, which has lent to the fans kind of drifting a little bit and hyper-focusing on the Eagles. So it comes in waves. When there's a sighting, when his pathetic management team tries one of their tactics, then it'll get spoken about again. And you couldn't have handled this thing more poorly than Clutch and Rich Paul has in general. The only one who's handled this worse is Ben. But, it's not going anywhere because we're also coming up on the trade deadline pretty soon in the NBA. So this thing's going to crank up again, and they'll try something else soon. So it'll get going. That's not going anywhere. He is the number one guy in the city in terms of, sports hate is a term I always like to throw around as opposed to real hate. But he is a guy he's become the number one target in the city. That's for sure.
I like that sports hate because we have a little motto on this show that hate is good as long as it's in sports.
Yep.
And I think reclassifying that in today's world might be a smart move. You know, the other side of this, thank goodness the Eagles are in the playoffs. We've talked about this. You know, I'm a Michigan native. Detroit sports are awful right now. Philly sports aren't much better. Thank goodness for this Eagles playoff run, because the Flyers are lousy. You're dealing with the Ben Simmons issue with the Sixers. The Phillies, we don't know what's going on in that division. I mean, at least the Eagles gave you something this year, because it's been a tough run in Philly these last couple of years.
It has. You're right. I mean, the Flyers have become really irrelevant in a lot of ways.
That's
which is hard to believe.
Unbelievable. If you know anything about Philadelphia sports, you could argue it's a lot like New York. New York is a baseball city, baseball and basketball. It doesn't matter what the teams are doing. Philadelphia is an awesome hockey city.
Yeah. A lot of the folks who grew up on the Broad Street Bullies, no matter what, you couldn't tell them any different if the Flyers were struggling. They didn't want to hear it. They were as loyal a fan base as there was. And they drew every night, and the TV ratings and the radio ratings were through the roof. And now it is just, oh, did they play last night? I mean, it's really remarkable what's happened there. Yeah, and look, the Phillies have underachieved, and baseball is the best at shooting itself in the foot to make themselves irrelevant. So you have those two factors. The Sixers are wasting Joel Embiid's prime years. I mean, if you watch what he's doing on a nightly basis, guys, it's amazing. And he was great again last night. I'm sure you had a close eye on it in Orlando. I mean, that's a night in and night out. And it's clear he doesn't have enough help. Like, they can win games in the regular season against the teams that they're playing now. But when they get against the big boys, the Heat, you know, the Bucks, are they really going to get past those teams? The only way they get past is if Daryl Morey can make that trade to move Simmons and get that big-time complimentary piece with Embiid. That's the only chance. If not, they're going to be a 5-6 seed and likely be bounced by the second round, depending on the matchup. But yeah, you're right. It is. Other than the Eagles, it's been a pretty rough run for sure.
And when you really think about it, I mean, the future of that franchise probably rests on this trade. I mean, it really does, 100%. Rob. If they make the right deal, then that player and Embiid can have a nice 5-year run at trying to accomplish whatever it is they can accomplish. But if they get it wrong, Embiid's probably going to want out. I mean, it's only the future of the franchise that rides on the trade.
Yeah, no pressure, Daryl Morey. I would say two things on that. I agree with you. And Embiid's situation is unique in that, do you really think that that body of his is going to hold up at 33, 34? I don't, which means your clock is really ticking. Like you have a strong, probably 3-4 year window right now where you better cash in on this. And if you don't, the whole process that this fan base went through, essentially tanking for 3, 4, 5 years of the worst basketball you'll ever see, will all go for naught. Like a lot of the fan base bought into it because they were so frustrated at being mediocre. And ultimately the payoff may end up being getting no further than the second round and Joel Embiid's best years being wasted. I mean, that would be a real shame. And the Sixers fan base is very loyal. That would be a real shame for that group.
Well, Rob, we think that the Eagles are going to be in Tampa. All right. Either way, we think you're going to be in Tampa. 2736, we think you're going to be in Tampa. So, you know, maybe we can do this again soon.
Listen, guys, I would be thrilled. I love coming on. I do. I get to vent. I get my little therapy session. Right? And my day is set. It's 8:15 in the morning, and I'm good to go now. Now I'm set. And
not only that, for one night, Flyer fans will be back because the Penguins are in town tonight. So, you know, once again, we go back to the whole hatred thing. It's good.
It is. It's healthy. In sports, it's healthy. Real life, not so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Rob Ellis, follow him on Twitter, RLS Sports, RLS Sports, and give a listen if you can. 94 WIP in Philadelphia. Rob, all the best. Thanks for your time.
Guys, Happy New Year. I don't know if we can still say that at this point, but I'm going to do it anyway. I love you guys. All the best. Take care.
Right back at you. Happy New Year. You can say it on this show till February. That's my rule.
Unbelievable. No, tomorrow is it. Tomorrow is it. The line of demarcation is tomorrow. Thank you, Rob. Rob Ellis, 94
for you, David.
I know. That's why you did it. I know. It's part of our charm. We do it to each other. Rob Ellis joining us here on Miller and Moulton. Steve Deace in 20 minutes. We'll head to Michigan. How long is Jim Harbaugh going to be with the Wolverines? Or is this just a bunch of bunk? And we'll head to Cleveland for some more therapy. We'll let Andy Baskin, lay down on the couch for at least 5 minutes, take some of his pain away. Talk a little Cleveland sports scene and the Browns and whether or not that window closed really quickly. Miller and Moulton. Hope your week is going well. The first one of 2022. Thanks for spending part of it with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So did the stream just like cut off for a second? I was focusing on something else. And I come back and I was like, what the hell happened? Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, doesn't seem like Miller or Moulton are here, so I mean, I'll keep it brief. Big win for the Heat last night. Big road win. We got to finish out our road trip strong. Can't really explain other than the fact that he's just Lance Stevenson. He's Lance, you know. He brings the energy and he'll just turn it to Michael Jordan. No, not even Michael Jordan, just like a whole mix of a bunch of things. But one of the best, in fact, probably the best New York high school basketball player of all time, Lance Stevenson. Talk Celtics and why they're so up and down. Let's take it easy. I mean, it's weird with the Celtics because they're just, I feel like they really needed to beat the Heat in the conference finals in order to maintain, because they're missing pieces in order to contend for a championship. But if they would have beat the Heat and gone to the finals and maybe given the Lakers competition, no. I don't know.
Are you talking with yourself, or is this a conversation that actually involves someone else?
No, this is me talking to myself. I don't know why they waived, but I'm talking to Twitch chat. I don't know why they waived Boogie. That was really weird. The fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo is still on the Bucks and DeMarcus Cousins is not kind of bothers me. By the way, DeMarcus Cousins' career averages are 20 and 10, and they cut him.
Which just goes to show you that numbers can be very hollow sometimes.
Right, but I don't know. It's not like they were losing that many games. I mean, you know, they lost a couple of games, but they were winning more games, and he was playing well. A stat that I like to put up for role players is per 36. What's their production output per 36?
Right. No, we get it. No, we
understand what per. I mean,
right. Per 36.
You do understand we do this for a living. You sometimes talk to us like we're 7-year-old children.
I'm talking to the Twitch.
No, you're looking right at us when you're talking.
Who?
I'm talking to.
I'm gonna look up to the ceiling.
I'm talking to the Twitch.
Talking to the Twitch chat. What's up, chat?
What's up, chat?
Chat.
I'm just gonna do what I need to do.
Philly breakfast. All. By the way, I'm kind of hungry. Does anyone want breakfast?
Whoa! Did you hear that? I'm kind of hungry. Does anyone want breakfast?
I mean, Marty
I took my headsets out. I can't take. It's the per 36. Hey, David, plus or minus in hockey is you give a plus when a guy's on the ice and a minus when he's off.
Right. And power play doesn't. Shorthanded doesn't count.
Shorthanded does count.
Okay.
Shorthanded counts for a plus.
If you're right.
Right, the Wings one. I just saw that they had 2 shorties in their
Mm-hmm.
game. First shorthanded goals in like 100 games. They'd gone 2.5 seasons without a shorthanded goal.
Where are you thinking, by the way, for food?
I don't know.
So you got to narrow it down for us.
Okay. Marty got the vid, by the way.
Yes.
Got the cocoa.
The vid.
Marty's got the cocoa.
The cocoa. Oh God.
That was my friend that's doing
Right.
some work for me. She said, she was like, because she was supposed to give me some drawings. She was, I'm sorry, I got the cocoa over Christmas. I'm like, so now that's all I call her. I refer to her as Coco.
Got the cocoa.
I love how coronavirus is an ancient term now. It's a 2020 term.
The water in Saginaw is delicious, Hops, to be perfectly frank with you. Saginaw water is some of the best in the world. Flint, different story.
Right.
I was going to say, for a second, I didn't know if you were being serious.
I'm being 100% serious. Saginaw water is fantastic.
Wow.
The Saginaw Water Works is unbelievable.
Sonny wants to know, are you still playing the tips?
No, I don't play the tips, Sonny. I play a blue-white combo. I'm 52, brother. Sonny knows. Sonny knows how good water is in Saginaw.
All right, we're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. We'll head to Michigan in about 15 minutes. Steve Deace will join us. He does a little politics. He does a little sports. When he does sports, he covers the Michigan Wolverines rather closely. We will talk to Steve about Jim Harbaugh's future. He has been all over the Harbaugh story the last couple of years, whether he's staying, going, staff changes. Very knowledgeable, very opinionated, very well spoken. It's why we love him as a guest. It's maybe why he has his own show. Steve Deace in about 15 minutes. Andy Baskin, man, there could be some pain here. Either that or just total denial.
No, it'll be pain. He's a pretty honest guy.
Yeah.
You know who I don't believe is an honest guy is Antonio Brown.
Well, why is that, Mark? I mean, does he have a track record of maybe not being an upstanding citizen?
Yeah, that could be it. But he has taken to social media this morning.
Huh. Didn't they do that late yesterday?
He did it again.
What the
In
hell?
fact, it was 30 minutes ago that he did, just before 8 o'clock. So he's up early this morning. That's good to know.
What more do they have to say?
He tweeted out 36 minutes ago the word barbarian. And then he followed it up with health over wealth, hashtag space barbarian. He didn't put the two together. And he has a picture of text messages. New iMessage to Bruce Arians. And the first one's from the coach. First one says, this is BA. Make sure you're ready to go tomorrow. We, and then in capital letters, are not, and then the rest resting for the playoffs. That was on Thursday. On Friday, that was Thursday at 5:14. Friday at 12:29, according to AB, he said, call me. AB responded with a therapist working on his ankle picture and texted the following. I'm all in, coach. Really can't get to full speed. I want to win, want to be there. If I can wake up tomorrow, feel better, I'll be ready. Kind of rolled it outside on the 2-point play. I want what's best for the team. Let me know when you are free. I'll call you. To which Bruce responded, come see me in the morning. We'll talk this out. Definitely want you with us in case you're ready. To which AB responded with the heart emoji over the text.
Wow.
So he's put out documented proof to someone he says is Bruce Arians in their conversation. That's what he's come up with this morning.
He gave him the heart emoji and everything?
Everything, David.
And this is proving what again?
That he communicated with his coach prior to the game about how badly his ankle was injured.
Right. Let me ask you this. You think this is helping him get future employment?
No, I think this is asinine. But I do think the fact that, we're we're on in a couple markets. One's Tampa. I do think the AB story is pretty big. I think the fact that he is going right back to being AB again is incredibly typical. I feel badly for Arians, really, that he's going to have to answer stupid comments because Bruce Arians has done nothing but be an honest, upstanding guy. And now he's going to ask more crap about a receiver that's cut.
Yeah, I have to admit, I don't think he's going to have to answer many more questions because he's already answered questions and he can simply say, listen, we've said everything that we need to say. All right. It doesn't matter what he's saying at this point. He's no longer a Buccaneer. We wish him well. Next question. And the playoffs are next week, and it's not like, I mean, listen, nobody's taking Carolina as a viable opponent this Sunday seriously. So they already have the Bucs with a W and posting 13-4 and seeing whether or not that's good enough to be the 2 or the 3. So it's kind of like, hey, what else you got for us to talk about this week? Well, this AB thing won't go away. Good. Let's talk about this while we can. Because next week it'll be on to the playoffs, the whole deal. This is completely irrelevant. What I am interested about, and we won't hear from him about this, I don't believe, because of where we are in the week, and he's pretty much done the media he's going to do locally for the week. He may do a sit-down with someone nationally that will air Sunday, and maybe some of this will come up, maybe. But you know what also hurts AB besides his own character? And that, let's face it, if it's Bruce Arians' word against Antonio Brown has a credibility problem. But, Brady commented quite a lot about AB on a couple of occasions. One, immediately after the game, and then 2, the next day when he did a little bit of media, and he did his own show on Sirius. He did not allude to in any way there being any kind of a problem except for behavioral. And Tom obviously likes him. Tom went out of his way, big time, to bring him back into the league and to also, for goodness sakes, he lived with them.
He tried to personally rehabilitate him.
In some way, shape, or form. Don't know if he stayed in their house or their guest house on their property or what have you.
He played, you want to play father figure, big brother figure,
right.
Friend, good friend, whatever you want to, analogy you want to put. Tom certainly gave everything he had to give to try to make Antonio Brown a good citizen again.
And Tom has not in any way, shape, or form, besides showing compassion towards the person, he has not in any way even once implied with one word, with one look, with one tone, that there's anything else going on here except for he's a troubled person. And let's try to have some compassion for him, and let's hope to God this doesn't go the way we all fear it could. He's going to listen. I think whether the Bucs feel they have to or not, I think ultimately the Bucs are just going to write a check. Ultimately he's suing for like 2 game checks and probably a playoff share. And at this point, I'm sure Tampa's just like, here, fine. Just go away.
I just know that I have at any point the out to just send someone the heart emoji and I'm forgiven. That's what I take out of this. If you heart emoji it, you're good.
Can I ask a very embarrassing question? And that's saying a lot coming from me, because I ask a lot of questions. Many of them are often embarrassing. But this involves technology, so it should not shock you that it's going to be as embarrassing as it is.
Yep.
Now, I know obviously how, if you send me a text, I know how to call up the heart emoji and actually send you a heart.
Right. But you don't know how to heart the actual text?
I have no idea.
David, here we go. In fact, I got a text from the boss here right now. I will thumbs up that emoji. So you hold your thumb down on it. These little things pop up above, and then you press it.
How about that?
There we go. Today's edition of Tech Time with David.
Wow. It's that easy.
And that was a really embarrassing question.
You
could have done
was.
that during the break.
You
could have done it in the first minute of the break when the commercials are playing and no one heard you. I give you an unbelievable amount of self-confidence. You have the ability to ask that question and not feel embarrassed to ask it.
No.
And that is impressive, David. That is one of the main things that I like about you.
It endears me to you.
It really does.
Here's why. Because I know I am a technological idiot. All right. I do not have anything to do with the technology involving this show in any way, shape, or form. We're about to have a revamped website. It's going to be glorious. I will provide all the written content for it. I will even write your 250 words a day if I have to. No problem. Please, God, don't make me do anything technological. Anything at all. You should see my wife and I together.
It's got to be priceless.
It's frightening. It is frightening.
Because the little adage we do today was the day one, leave it to the old soul. David's wife is 5-6 years younger than he is, or 4 or 5 years younger than he is, whatever the case may be. She's an older soul than he is, particularly when it comes to technology.
Well, now she's actually had to jump ahead of me, which of course isn't that hard. I mean,
she was forced. By work to Zoom far more.
Fred Flintstone is ahead of me technologically. I mean, it's not that hard, but I feel it's important that our audience knows who they're dealing with.
Well, and we just taught you something, so we're going to see how well, hopefully during this break, you can, thumbs up a text that I sent you to see if you picked up on what happened.
I don't want to be like everybody else who's constantly thumbs up in the texts.
See, David, you're still an individual. The fact that you learned this doesn't mean you have to do it all the time.
No, I want to do it very sparingly.
That's the way it should be done.
Very rare
But I will
occasion.
say thumbs upping someone else's text is a lot easier than even the thumbs up emoji. It's just faster.
No, I understand that.
It's just quicker.
I know, but I'd rather send them the separate thumbs up emoji.
By the way, did anybody else feel a little Napoleon Dynamite out of that idiot that Moulton threw out a couple seconds ago? Because all I know is that you were right out of Napoleon. Idiot.
All right. And in our Twitch chat room, David Moulton now is tech smart as a 5-year-old girl or a 7-year-old boy. No, actually, I think they're still way ahead of me. Way ahead of me. Maybe preschool. But by the time they get to kindergarten, they're definitely more technologically savvy than me.
Miller and Moulton. We will talk Michigan. And should he stay or should he go?
Or will he stay or will he go?
It's not the Clash. We're talking about Jim Harbaugh with Steve Deace next on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
No. And I probably did, but just overlooked it.
Fair. That's you know what?
What the hell are those
that's
things?
way more likely too.
What the hell are those things?
I'll tell you what. Rob Ellis saying that Philadelphia doesn't care about the Flyers was the most shocking revelation out of that interview right there.
That's awful.
All right. Chick-fil-A breakfast or FK your diet?
What was the second
good.
one?
It's the little local place down the road.
FK your diet.
Nah, I'm good, actually. Appreciate the thought, though.
I think I might get some chicken minis. Love chicken minis. And they have good hash browns, too. Want a hash brown?
No.
No.
Thank you, though. So that's a Marlins hat.
1997 World Series, yes.
With a Dolphin sweatshirt.
Wow.
That's a Joe Robbie Stadium affair right there.
So, and that's a 97 hat. That's before you were born.
This hat is yes. It's older than me.
Oh, shit. I got t-shirts older than you.
Yeah.
I have a Miami Hurricane. I'm going to wear my Hurricanes, the sweatshirt that every college kid has, the gray sweatshirt with the university over it. I will wear my Canes one of these days when it's cold. It is older than you.
You've seen mine, right?
No, it's in fact, it's 10 years older than you.
That's funny.
I got that. I wasn't even old enough to drink when I got that because I lived in Marco Island. My junior year of college, I quit college after the fall term, moved to Marco to wait tables for a semester.
Yeah.
So let's see, 80, 88, 89. 1990, I lived in Marco Island.
Wow.
90?
32-year-old sweatshirt.
That's funny because I have like a newer version of exactly that. So yeah, let me call Steve. Right, that's what I'm saying, Tommy. Like, was he actually injured? And I don't want to take sides here, but
I don't think he was. That's what we just
Yeah.
that's what we just kind of went through there.
yeah.
That's a travel. Could somebody call a travel in that league?
He's on hold. I wonder what you can compare Flint's water to in terms of how bad it is.
Third world countries.
Right, but like how bad? I want to know.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they've ripped up all the pipes. They've had to redo the whole thing.
Have you ever seen the movie Semi-Pro?
Yes.
Oh, love that movie. Flint, Michigan Tropics. Inspired by the Miami Floridians.
It's a bad movie, by the way.
Oh,
What is?
Semi-Pro. It's maybe Will
oh,
Ferrell's
yeah.
worst movie.
but it's a stupid movie, you know. It's got
Yeah, most of his movies are stupid.
Exactly.
Talladega Nights is stupid, but it's great.
exactly.
But it's great.
Come on, with Andre 3000 as downtown funky stuff Malone, aka Coffee
It's
Black.
not good. I want trust me. It's a movie that based a
Coffee
thing on a Flint, Michigan team. I want the movie to be good. It was not good.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Minutes before the hour, our final segment in Tampa St. Pete on this Thursday. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network, the bonus hour for those in the 239. We'll continue at the top of the hour with Andy Baskin joining us from Cleveland. Steve Deace is kind enough to join us once again, the first time in 2022. Host of the Michigan Podcast and publisher of Wolverine Digest, which is part of the SI family. He also dabbles in politics. He has a show. It's called The Steve Deace Show, DEACE, and that's where you can follow him on Twitter. Steve, it's David and Mark. A belated Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm well. Same to you guys. How are you?
We are good. If we can go back before we go forward, how surprised were you that the semifinal turned into a beatdown?
Somewhat surprised. I thought, given the style similarity between the two teams and the long layoff, and you don't know how Georgia is going to respond. I always go back to the example of I think it was Kentucky in '97 getting housed by Mississippi State in the SEC conference final, and then rolling through the NCAA tournament. I think Arkansas might have done something similar in the Nolan Richardson era a couple of years before that. And so sometimes that loss can wake you up, and then sometimes you have a glass jaw because you've not been in a street fight situation. And so I don't think we knew how either Georgia would react, and I don't think we knew how Michigan was going to react. I mean, you have to understand, Jim Harbaugh has been a gold mine for clickbait and media virality for 7 years. Some of it of his own contrivance, particularly early on, much of it in recent years in reaction to him organically. And so now suddenly he's AP Coach of the Year. Aiden Hutchinson's winning awards daily, finishing second in the Heisman. Josh Gaddis, who all of us thought should have been canned after last year, is now the Broyles Award winner. Sharon Moore, who had never coached the offensive line in his life, and now he's the coach of the Joe Moore Award winner. And so Michigan's getting a lot of congrats and hosannas as a program, basically 15 years worth of it in 1 month. And so how are they going to react to that? And so I think that produced a lot of combustibility, and that put every outcome on the table. Unlike the Alabama-Cincinnati game, you could see Cincinnati pulling an upset. You could see Alabama winning narrowly. You could see Alabama winning in a blowout. But no one would have ever predicted Cincinnati in a blowout. I think in this one, all four outcomes were on the table, given that instability from a mental preparation standpoint. And it turns out Michigan didn't handle well getting a month's worth of hosannas and was very shaky and kind of unsettled from the start. And Georgia, meanwhile, came out with a chip on its shoulder and ran 13 RPOs in the first half with a former walk-on quarterback to just kind of let it all hang out. And that was the outcome we got.
And played the best game he's ever played. And, David and I were at the Alabama-Notre Dame National Championship game, and I think Eifert either got an OPI or dropped a ball on a third down. I think the game would have been, I don't know if they win, I don't know what happens, but the game would have been different had that play been made. To me, I thought Michigan's 3rd and 4 call in the first drive was a terrible play call. We all knew they were going for it on 4th down. And to me, if they just get 2 yards there, Steve, I look back at that game at one play. I don't know who wins. I don't know how different everything is. I would have ran that play when it happened. I criticized it after the game. I thought that was the turning point because they put them in a 4th and 4 that they have to go for, and they're in a little bit more difficult situation than if that's 4th and 1, 4th and 2.
Well, the thing I always feared is I thought the Iowa game would be a name your score because those are two teams that play a similar style, and Michigan's just going to play them with a whole different level of recruit. And I thought the same thing somewhat applied here. But I thought the gap between Michigan and Georgia was not as wide overall talent-wise as the gap between Michigan and Iowa. And I think what we saw here is the overall amount of athleticism and speed to power that Georgia brings to the table in the front seven. There was nobody like this in the Big Ten. Frankly, I don't think there's another team in America like it. There might be 5 or 6 guys in that front seven that are going to be top 2 round NFL draft picks here in a few months. And so I think that Michigan, because of that and because of our style, if Michigan had played a better game, if they played 10 times, I think Georgia wins 6 or 7 of them. But I think this one was a blowout because you had 2 things that combined at the same time. One, Michigan didn't play well and sort of pressed coming off a month of accolades, and Georgia played pretty pissed off. And so you put those 2 things together, and then you have a roster that's got 19 5-star recruits on it, and you get the kind of result that you got. I don't think it mars what was a marvelous season. It's, I think, one of my favorite Michigan teams of all time. And I think that what was accomplished this year in terms of returning the program back to its expected prestige level, I don't think can be undercounted. And now it's a question of what does it take to get to that final level. Michigan finally got to the next level this year, beat Ohio State, won hardware, but what does it take to get to that final level? And I think that conversation, guys, is why we're having the conversation we're having about Jim Harbaugh right now.
Steve Deace, Michigan Podcast, Wolverine Digest, also has a political show. Find him on Twitter, Steve Deace Show, Deace. All right, Harbaugh. Here's my theory. Feel free to blow it up if you'd like. If there was no smoke at all, yesterday he would have somehow, some way, wherever he is, found a way to release a statement, get something out there that says, listen, I'm tired of this bull. I'm not going anywhere. Okay. The story's been out there for almost 48 hours now that Jim's at least kicking the tires about returning to the NFL. There has not been one word that has come from Harbaugh or the University of Michigan. In the recruiting game and in the transfer portal game, that's a very dangerous game, Steve. That to me says there's got to be something there.
Well, remember, we just played this game out last year in reverse, but this actually played out over the early signing period, remember. So I think with Jim, you got to remember two things. One, he has no agent. All right? He has a lawyer and his family. He has a lawyer friend that actually dots the I's and crosses the T's legally. And then him and his family, they make all these decisions on their own. Two, he doesn't give a strand of DNA what any of us think about absolutely anything, period, end of sentence. So, in fact, I think he kind of gets off on being contrarian with all of our expectations and conventional wisdoms from a media cycle perspective. That all being said, I think there's a little bit to it for this reason. I still would be very surprised if he left, but he's pushing 60. This is going to be his last deal. He still has young kids at home right now. You probably saw one of them, on the field with him celebrating the Big Ten championship. And when are we ever going to have a scenario where two NFL franchises that he has direct ties and relationships with are simultaneously open at the exact same time, and both of them have at least somewhat productive or promising quarterback situations? I think we probably all think that that David Carr or Daniel Carr is, I was getting mixed up with his brother, he's probably a top 15 quarterback-ish in the NFL. So with enough of a team, you could Jake Delhomme him to a Super Bowl maybe. And then you've got, a first-round draft pick in Justin Fields that obviously Jim would be very, very familiar with, and whose overall skill set is not unlike what he had with Colin Kaepernick at San Francisco. So I think that he has taken a pause to see, because this is probably, if he says no here, this is it. He's here to the end. And he did just face, mortality as a Michigan coach not too long ago. And I don't think this is about money. I don't even think the NFL can outbid Michigan. Okay. So I don't think it's about money or any of that stuff, guys. I think that really what it's about is opportunity at this stage of his life. And I think the transfer portal era, Michigan makes it very difficult to get transfers in that are not grad transfers, both from a grade point average standpoint, but especially from a credits standpoint. A lot of these credits at other universities, Michigan won't accept. All right. And so where's that put him? You just saw Mel Tucker put a team together on the fly this offseason with 40 new players, many of them from the transfer portal, and he just beat them and then got, a $9 million payday from it. The other thing is NIL. Up north here, we've complained about how things are done under the table down south for years. But the truth is, schools like Michigan, Ohio State, and Notre Dame, they have endowments and those sorts of things that blow Bubba the Love Sponge SEC booster out of the frickin' water, man. Okay. What we could come up with NIL in this part of the country with these massive alumni bases, and a lot of them are doctors, lawyers. Michigan has two pro sports owners as alums, the Mets and the Dolphins. Okay. So I think what Jim wants to know is, are we going to unleash a Death Star here so that we can now get 19 five-star recruits on our roster like Georgia has right now. And I think that's the conversation that's being had. I think Jim is taking a pause because he realizes if he says no to these two franchises, they're probably never coming back again. And then B, if I cast my full lot with Michigan a year after, I took quite a haircut, are you guys willing to do what it will take to now get us to that final level? Or am I going to face this next, winter of discontent here again in 3 or 4 years? I think that's what's occurring. We'll get some kind of an answer quick. Black Monday is Monday. Michigan is planning a massive recruiting weekend on the 15th. So I don't think this will drag on very long one way or the other.
And I'm with you 100%, Steve. It's not about money. He wouldn't have paid the whole athletic department what he paid if it was about money out of his own pocket last year. There's no doubt that it's that. I think the only other wild card, Steve, and tell me what you think here, if the NFL doesn't happen with these two teams, and it still could happen with the third, because Stephen Ross owns this Miami Dolphin team. He tried once. If Flores happens to get blown out Sunday, there are some who think he can't coach offense. If it were a year from now and Miami came calling, would that be the only other opportunity? Because we all know how much Stephen Ross loves Jim Harbaugh. But he may love Michigan more than he loves owning the Dolphins.
Yes, and remember, Stephen Ross is maybe Michigan's most lucrative booster.
Right.
He's not going to rob Peter to pay Paul. So let's say a year from now, Michigan does this again, beats Ohio State, wins the Big Ten again, and the program has now clearly established itself as one of the top 5 or 6 programs in the country. Then could I see Jim's wife, who would like to return to year-round warm weather, say, hey, we've done our tour of duty here for King and Country. You've left us in a good spot. You gave promising assistants like Mike Hart another year of seasoning. So if they want to elevate him now to head coach, there's more of a gravitas towards that kind of decision and keep the continuity going. Yeah, that's the one scenario I could see a year from now where that would happen. And everybody within the Michigan fandom, including Ross, it would agree that, hey, he did his job. He restored the program. And now if he wants to go chase that last illustrious half a yard in a Super Bowl to win a Lombardi trophy, God bless you. I could see that.
King and country, huh?
Well, it's the only metaphor I could come up with, guys. It's only 7:50 in the morning.
It was glorious.
It
was absolutely glorious. In fact, our poll question may be, which one of your references was better, Bubba the Love Sponge or
Booster,
King and
yes.
Country?
Yes.
All right. Very well done, Steve. Very well done. If you're not on your A game, you're on your B+ A- game on this awful hour.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for your time and your insight once again. Hope all is well with you and the show. And hopefully we can do something for you one day. Thanks again.
You got it, guys. Take care. Happy New Year, everybody.
Steve Deace, the Michigan Podcast Wolverine Digest. And he does politics. He's right of
with
center.
The same
attitude and humor.
Yes.
It's entertaining. All right. He's one of those talented hosts that you don't have to agree with to find very entertaining. And that's very rare these days. But that's Steve Deace.
A lot of great points made. I mean,
King and Country.
The fact of the matter is 2 jobs open that he's tied to. We all agree that the third one that's there is Miami if by chance it comes up.
Right. And as you mentioned, doesn't necessarily have to come up this time around. The timing that he laid out is very interesting, though, with Monday being Black Monday in NFL circles. That's when people get fired. And, oh, by the way, 5-6 days later, it's a huge recruiting weekend for the University of Michigan.
And to me, at the end of this, for Harbaugh in Michigan, does what Steve said at the end there, and the transfer and getting guys in and all of those things, but was this a one-off? Does he look at that locker room and go, man, this is as good as I've had it, and we're actually going to take a step back next year?
Steve Deace, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. For those of you in Tampa, St. Pete, have a great rest of your day. For those of you in the 239, the bonus hour, Andy Baskin next.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
If the Oklahoma one was, you really would consider 37-17 a blowout. I don't remember the game.
It was close at the half, and then Clemson whacked them.
Okay.
Philly, he was just letting you know that's your
That's
promo.
a promo.
That line.
He dropped the Bubba the Love Sponge reference.
It was
the
funny.
Bubba the Love Sponge booster. It's gold.
And that'd be a really easy promo for you.
What is Bubba the Love Sponge?
He's a radio host that was on that station for you. He's been in Tampa. He's shock jock. It's videoed of. There was a video of Hulk Hogan having sex with his wife that came out that pretty much he recorded and everybody knows he did.
Oh. You know, it's funny.
He was a pretty big deal for quite a long time.
I think I said this yesterday, but I'll say it again. It's hilarious because, mind you,
Okay,
I don't know anything.
Promo. Why? What's your story? Because we're still on the promo here, okay?
No.
So what you need to do is you need to put the question before the promo. Cut the answer in where you get that little answer in there and make that into a promo. What you need to be doing, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but you need to write down the time so you don't spend 4 hours doing this and you just spend 4 minutes.
The last segment of the 8 o'clock hour.
Well, right, but you can make it real easy on yourself and write down. I think it was at like 49 after
It was
the hour.
it was at 49.
Okay.
It was.
All right. Very quickly,
Okay,
what were you saying?
more you about you.
No, it's not me about me. It's just my experiences with you and working here that that again, I'm not from Fort Myers. I didn't grow up here.
No,
and people ask me, they come up to me like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, kids, mind you. Like, "Oh, I work for Miller and Moulton." They're like, "No way." Like, these are local Fort Myers kids. "No way. I used to listen to them when I was little." Like, that's so awesome. Oh my gosh. I was like, that's crazy.
Did you say they're still on the air?
Like, yeah, they're back.
Never really went away.
I know we never went away, but there were people that missed us. There were people that missed our whole second act.
That's what they say. They're like, they went away. I was like, yeah.
Not
No,
really.
they didn't though. They didn't.
No, they just went to a different place.
Right. We're back now. But I find it hilarious because they come up to me. They're like, "No way. Yeah, I used to listen to them on the way to school with my dad." And I was like,
Where we were big. Big in cars with dad.
Yep. We've always been big in cars with dad.
nice.
Wait a minute. Antonio Brown tweeted out his banking information?
No.
That's what Albert Breer's saying. He says, to review, this morning Antonio Brown turned on Tom Brady, tweeted out banking information, returned fire of Bruce Arians, and it's not even
Turned on Brady.
Well, that's what I'm not seeing.
I missed that part.
I am too.
That banking, that's got to be fake. I mean, I honestly don't know what to believe.
No, this is an actual real person who.
I gotta make a phone
Turned on Brady.
call. We got a minute.
And then you've got to call Andy. I feel sorry for Kardashian there and
Tristan.
And what's his face?
Wow.
No, not that one. And Pete Davidson there. I mean, those lovebirds, they just can't get a moment to themselves without the paparazzi following them around. Okay.
I don't know how that Pete Davidson guy is so popular. He must be really funny because he's a.
Exactly. He's got game. No serious game. Women do like it if you can make them laugh.
No answer from Andy.
Okay.
I'll call him back, but we're coming back in 20.
Okay.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour. It is the bonus hour. 239 only these days. The Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. We've had a jam-packed show. If you missed any of it, you know where to go for our podcasts, millerandmoulton.com. Bud Elliott, Rob Ellis, Steve Deace have already joined us. We figured we would call Andy Baskin, not so much for us, but for Andy. There's not much we can do for Andy. Andy provides entertainment and information for us. We're not big enough to do anything for Andy and for Baskin and Phelps on 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, but we care about Andy the person. And Andy, we thought that maybe you could use an outlet, besides your own show, in which maybe you don't want to go places on that show that maybe you'd go on our show, in which you just want to get some things off your chest. You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm just a little emotional here. Hang on a second. Just trying to figure out what I need to get off my chest. People that don't merge when they come onto the freeway, and if you have the lane already, it's my lane, man. You got to slow down. That's why they got that big yield sign there. They don't ever notice that. Okay, I feel better. I got that off my chest.
Gotcha. Okay. That was it, huh?
That was it.
I'm pretty lame. I'll be honest with you. Pretty lame.
Well, we've talked to you so many times in the preseason, in which expectations are incredibly high. In the last 2 years, expectations have been high. 2 years ago, expectations were fulfilled with a playoff berth and a playoff victory. This year has been unbelievable disappointment for the Cleveland Browns. Is it all on Baker Mayfield?
No, I don't think it's on Baker. It's a little bit of it's on Kevin Stefanski, a little bit's on Baker Mayfield, a little bit's on Baker's agent, a little bit's on COVID, a little bit's on the lack of chemistry with OBJ. I mean, there's a whole mess of things that happened to the Browns this year where they weren't able to live up to expectations. But I think the number one mistake this team made was in week 3, they knew that Baker Mayfield needed surgery on a torn labrum, and they didn't. They decided that if the doctor said they can put this brace on him and he can play. And what we saw was 60% of a quarterback. I'm not trying to make excuses because once you walk on that field, we all expect 100%. So it's disappointing is probably the best word to use. But if you ask me, Baker should have had surgery after week 3, and we'd be talking a much different story.
And Andy, I'm not joking here. This was an important year, though, because let's face it, you had the 10-6 season under Romeo. You never could back it up. You had the playoff appearance under Butch. You never could follow it up. This looked and felt different. They were going to be able to follow up the season with at least a good season, a winning season, probably a playoff appearance where I looked at Cleveland the way I looked at Buffalo a few years ago, where they got in the first time and then they retooled but kept going, and they've made the playoffs now 4 out of 5 years. That's what I thought this year was going to be for you. And in that sense, I'm so disappointed because I did not expect you to go backwards.
Well, I still think there were other issues that were going on here too. That like Kevin Stefanski's play calling was super suspect. You know, I don't know if there's folks in the house that are I just think there are times when Kevin just needs to step back and be the head coach and not call the plays, because he couldn't win to lose. Like, you know, 3 weeks ago they were like, hey, why didn't you run the ball late in the game? 2 weeks ago they were like, why didn't you throw the ball late in the game to try to win this thing? Why didn't you try to run out the clock? I mean, there's just so many little things that he just didn't get right that he did get right in year number one. And part of that was they played a pretty cream puff schedule last year. I mean, they played the NFC East that was horrible a year ago. Absolutely horrible. I mean, there wasn't even one really good team there. And they picked up a ton of wins there. Let's not forget, I mean, the Browns did make the playoffs from third place last year in the AFC North. I think sometimes we forget about that. There were some offensive line issues. Jack Conklin's been out for the last couple of weeks. No one's really talked about that. They lost J.C. Treader, to COVID. What was it, 2 weeks ago? You know, Jed Wills has been banged up all season. That offensive line that was really supposed to carry things this year had a lot of trouble staying whole all season. When they could stay whole, they were in good shape, especially early in the year. But as things progressed, you know, I never felt like that offensive line was whole all year. But that's something no one's talking about up here. No one's talking about that.
How about talking about OBJ and the success he's having in LA? I mean, he's catching balls, he's catching touchdowns. He's seemingly winning this argument with Cleveland, isn't he?
A little bit. I thought he had the best play of the year for the Browns when he caught that fourth down play last week. And we're like, oh, my God, look at this. Way to go, Rams. OBJ making plays for the Browns. This is awesome. Then he gets in the end zone, and then the Bengals end up going on to win, and that just sucked the life out of Sunday. But, I don't know. I mean, he's there with arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. There were a lot of balls that he dropped on his year. I'm just saying it didn't work here. OBJ did not work here. And I don't know if it was OBJ. I don't know if it was Baker. I don't know if it was Kevin. I don't know what it is. I know that, you know, the Browns have one of the best running backs in the league in Nick Chubb, and I see him wearing, you know, a parka on third down late in the game when they need him. So there's a lot of questions about this team. I do think, though, that they still have the talent. You come back next year, you figure out what you got. I don't know if Baker's going to be here or not next year, but there is a lot of talent on this team, and they can turn this thing around pretty quick next year.
Andy Baskin, part of Baskin and Phelps on 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Follow Andy on Twitter at Andy_Baskin, Andy_Baskin. You know how it works in a multi-sport town where sometimes one team's failures can linger and dominate, or do you think that it's going so well with the Cavs and the Guardians with their new era that this can just kind of be pushed to the side for a little bit, or is this just going to be the overriding thing until August and September?
No, the only thing that's going to change it is how the Cavaliers play, you know, towards the playoffs. If they can get in the playoffs, especially if they're a playoff team that doesn't have to play in the play-in tournament. You know, the Cavs have been a really nice story. They're fun to watch. I think Cleveland sports fans are into it a little bit, but nowhere near as much as they are the Browns. People would rather wallow in the misery of the Browns right now than really get all on board with the Cavaliers. And I mean, the Guardians are non-existent right now. And, you know, the fact that the Major League Baseball, I mean, if they don't show up for spring training, it's not going to help in Cleveland, baseball in Cleveland at all. Fans aren't happy about the name change. Fans aren't happy about any kind of change, even though the Indians have been the most consistent winner over, you know, an extended period of time for any team that doesn't have a guy named LeBron on it. So, I mean, the Indians really do a good job of putting out teams that are competitive. Can they win it all? No, they struggle with that. But they're unbelievably competitive, but the Indians garner no one's time here right now. I'm sorry, the Guardians garner no one's time here. It's actually kind of sad.
By the way, you know, and obviously not being in Cleveland, not being in LA, but for the first year, every time I said San Diego Chargers, it was $1 in the jar. I think when the Rays went from Devil Rays to Rays, we did the dollar thing. how much time are you going to give yourself before you have to go Guardians full time?
Well, here's the other problem: is we had an indoor team called the Gladiators, and I always want to call them the Gladiators. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've said, "Well, let's see what the Gladiators look like on the field next year." They're like Guardians. I'm like, "Oh yeah." I mean, so it doesn't roll off the tip of your tongue the way Indians did for so long. But we'll get used to the change after a while here. You know what? I do think that things are going to kick back up because we do have the NBA All-Star game here in February, so I think that's going to get a little bit more excitement going for the Cavaliers and for the NBA. But if baseball's out, they're out. No one's really talking about them or really cares right now.
Do you think quarterback, agent, coach, and team can handle Baker entering the final year of his contract? Because I don't see how either side is going to be able to come down from where they are to make a deal, if you know what I mean. This seems as if this is going to be Dak in Dallas, where he just plays it out, and if he does really well, he's going to get paid. And if he doesn't do really well, he either's not going to get paid or he's going to go somewhere else.
Well, I just wonder if it's going to be interesting to see if he's even here next year. I don't know if I'm a team, if I'm all gung-ho about trying to get Baker Mayfield, knowing that, he's having surgery now. What's he going to look like? You're banking on him coming back 100% too on a completely torn labrum on his non-throwing arm. So I don't know what his value is right now. We hear all these stories about other teams that would be interested in Baker next year, and that's great. I just don't know how the Browns are going to do that much better, knowing that there are really three big quarterbacks that are out there, and who can they really land? Carr seems to be the one that maybe they can land just because Vegas needs to do something, and maybe they need to bolster their defense, and maybe they can get some draft picks, and they can bring in a big haul for him. But I don't know where the Browns are going to go. I don't think drafting a quarterback this year is going to take this team in a different direction. I still want to see what Baker looks like. Excuse me. I want to see what Baker looks like next season if he's healthy. Because and then if you want to franchise him the next year, you can do that too. The Browns, I think, really hold all the cards with Baker. But Baker's like, well, let me see what my agent says about getting surgery and not playing this week. I mean, I don't want to hear about your agent. No one wants to hear about your agent. What is your agent the reason that you've been playing since week 3? Is that why? Are there incentives in your contract that say that, hey, maybe we'll go out there at 70% and we'll keep pushing the team that we can go out there and play, and I can play in this harness, and I'm fine. I'm just tired of it. And I really, really, really don't want to hear about Baker's agent anymore. Uncle. See you later, bud.
Andy Baskin and Phelps, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Follow Andy on Twitter at Andy_Baskin. Andy, we're here for you if you ever need it. Something you need to get off your chest, feel free to reach out.
You guys are the best therapy ever.
Happy New Year, Andy.
We are the cheapest, Andy. We are the cheapest.
You are cheap. That's awesome. I'll send me the bill. I won't pay it. Sounds good. Send me the collection. Goodbye.
Andy Baskin. He has to get to work at the top of the hour. Baskin and Phelps, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. He's taking this so much better than I thought he was going.
He really is.
Man.
He was angrier at different points in the last 3 years than he was about this.
I mean, he was so excited before the season. Never heard him this excited before. Never. Only after the Cavs won have I heard Andy more excited than he was after they made the playoffs, won a playoff game last year, and they were building towards this year, and they were going to get Odell healthy. And man, he threw in a couple wheeze, and Andy never does that. I
like that he refers to the Indians/Guardians as the Gladiators on a regular basis.
Right.
Makes me feel good.
I think it's a legitimate point, the whole dollar jar. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, by the way. If you're a certain name for a long time, all of a sudden you change your name.
Well, that's why I said, at what point do you start going to it? When the season starts? If the season starts.
I would have already gone to it. I mean, I'll do anything to fill up one of those jars faster. I love guessing how much money's in one of those jars. I do. Like your change jar or your, penalty jar, whatever the case may be. I love it.
Well, David, you and I would bet on 2 cockroaches running across the floor. So it doesn't surprise me that you liking to guess something that you don't know the answer to seems like enjoyment. Yes, of course it does.
I like trying to figure it out, and I always think I'm close, and I'm like not even remotely close.
We are close, and by close, about 20 or so minutes away from today was the day when, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what's on tap. All still ahead as we close out a Thursday on Miller and Moulton, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The all-new BMW Xi M60. It has kind of the body of like an X3, but is more sharp and has a technology that can change the color of the car. Look it up. It's amazing. Maybe we should do that. Mind-blowing things. Well, I mean, let's be honest. The bad and the ugly are usually all mind-blowing. Mind-blowingly stupid. Like, not that I'm not saying the segment is stupid. I'm saying like the people that do the stuff are stupid. It's like, you're stupid. Why would you do that? Like Hot Wheels. No. I mean, oh, you're saying like change the yeah. Kind of like someone talk ha 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 ha. Listen, it's just I have to sit here in silence while I just push buttons because it's the Miller and Moulton show. You know, I can't intervene. I know my place. I know my role. So yeah. Who dat? Oh man, my old art teacher in middle school was like the biggest Saints fan ever. So the Who Dat movement. It's Joe on Fox. Who's Joe? Oh, Joe Mama. Oh, I walked into that one. I mean, unless he wasn't planning on saying that joke. He would have gotten me, though.
Oh, David's head's wide.
Yeah.
I just put his glasses on. They almost fell off my ears.
Hey, is Joe on Fox tonight?
Joe who?
Joe Mama.
Joe who on Fox?
Joe Mama. Oh, come on.
What? Is it, you're trying to do like a 70s joke here?
Yes.
Is that where we're at?
Someone. No, I'm not.
I don't know. Did Joe get all the interviews up on YouTube?
Oh.
I got a sports good, bad, and ugly today.
I like it.
I mean, there's and actually there's like more stories than I have room for. Crazy. But Phil, you're the oldest, right?
No, I have one older brother.
One older brother?
Right.
Just two of you?
Mm-hmm.
It's just the two of you?
Yep.
Okay. Didn't know how big your family was.
I have a lot of cousins, though. I'll tell you that.
No, he's your problem during the commercial breaks, Twitch chat room. He's trying to pull bring our average age down.
He's just practicing. That's all.
Training wheels.
He's figuring one day he's going to do this for a living on NBA radio. I'm surprised you don't listen.
No, I don't.
Everybody's raving about this Lily James who is playing.
I love Lily James.
Oh my God, she does look
women
like
crush. Woman crush.
Shh.
Babe.
Just shush.
Oh.
Okay. I'm in the middle of. She's playing Pamela Anderson in this Hulu show. She looks remarkably like her. That's pretty good.
That is good.
Coming back.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes after the hour. The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Pat Kerwin to join us on the show tomorrow as we gear up for the final weekend of the NFL. Some franchises get it right. Some franchises make it look easy. But let's just go back a very short period of time, because we just got done talking to Andy Baskin, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. And it was a year ago at this time, they thought they had it right. They won 11 games, they made the playoffs, won a playoff game, damn near beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. I mean, they're right there. They're knocking on the door. Them and the Bills are going to be the two teams that are knocking closely on Kansas City's door in 2021.
Right. One's not in the playoffs. The other one's
fighting just to be the 3 seed.
Right.
But the one thing we think about Buffalo is they got it right at the most important position. This was not that long ago. I mean, what are we talking about here? The 2018 draft? 2018 draft. Quarterbacks taken at 1, 3, 7, 10, and 32.
Where at one point, the guy at 32 was clearly considered the best of the bunch.
Well, he's won an MVP.
I got you. Everybody's now down on Lamar Jackson.
Right. By the way, I don't think Lamar plays this week either. He's still not practicing. And if he is, he's limping around terribly. I don't think he plays. Could be wrong, obviously.
No,
I don't think he plays. I think he's going to end up missing the final month. Going into a contract year. Just like Baker Mayfield, banged up.
For the whole season, going into a contract year.
Right. The guy at number 10 is going to go down as one of the top 10 quarterback busts of all time, Josh Rosen. Then you got Sam Darnold, who's going to be given, we think, one more chance.
He and Baker both, really all three of them right now going into. Now, I think, for some reason the Ravens don't re-sign Lamar after next year. I think there'd be plenty of teams interested in Lamar Jackson. Baker and Sam Darnold, though, if they have bad years next year, they're not going to have interest. Interest as a backup.
Lamar is a fascinating case, though, because the Ravens did what very few organizations we think would do. They turned their entire offense over to him. They said, we're all in on you, kid. All in. And we are going to play the style that we feel you need to play. And up until a month ago, Mark, he hadn't gotten hurt. But now that he has for the first time, and it's a 9-digit contract.
Okay, but I still think a team will. I think someone would be interested. I don't know for how much money. All I'm saying is that if the year does not go great for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens don't want to sign him to a long-term deal, out of the three of them, let's just say all three of them have poor years. I think Lamar, to someone, would have the most upside to sign.
I agree with that.
That's really all I'm saying.
I agree with that. But think about it. Here we are, 2018.
Could be 1 out of 5, David.
5 quarterbacks taken. Only one's been given a second contract. One's, for all intents and purposes, out of the league, even though he's not. He's not playing. And the other 3 are starters and have been starters for almost 4 complete years in the league, and none of their teams have signed them to a second contract. That's how hard this is. I mean, which is another reason why, I'm sorry, I literally would take a gun to the meeting with the Packers and go, you are not letting him leave.
It's why all along I say he's a Packer next year. And you know I've been that way since September, David.
I don't care how high maintenance he is. I really don't. There's not a story you could tell me that could convince me that we need to trade him. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Did he hit a woman? Did he kill a dog?
Otherwise, forget it. And quite frankly, it needs to be one of your women and one of your dogs. Do you know how hard it is to find one of those?
So I'm with you. But it does add to, this offseason, I told you earlier in the week, David, I'm already starting to look at the quarterback carousel and what's going to happen.
I know you are.
And think about it, based on what you just said, we literally, a year from now, could have one of 5 quarterbacks drafted with the team they were drafted on. One. It's a real possibility. Now, I think Lamar's a Raven, but it still is 2 of 5. Proving once again that quarterbacks in the first round are at best
50-50.
At best.
And yet you have to keep drafting them.
Absolutely.
You only have to be right once. I mean, the Steelers went 20 years, couldn't find a quarterback. That's why they held on to this guy for as long as they did. The last couple of years, he couldn't really play. Why do you think the Giants held on to Eli for? Oh, you held on to him for a couple of years too long? Yeah, you know how long it took us to get one? It was a long 10 years in between Sims and Eli. Thank you very much.
And what I think is going to become of this, David, Tannehill had his second career, if you will, in Tennessee that's worked out pretty well for him. He's just a middle of the pack quarterback. He's not a top 12 guy, but he's not a bottom 12 guy either.
No. And he is a starting quarterback in the National Football League. He was. There were times where in Miami you didn't think so, and now you have to acknowledge it was on Miami.
And with the fact that there's at least going to be 2 of these guys that are going to be, out there next year again, not to mention contracts that are going to expire. David, I think the NFL offseason from the quarterback standpoint is going to be fascinating for the next decade because we're churning them up and spitting them out faster than ever before.
Mark, there's going to be so many quarterbacks on the free agent market, it's going to look like the transfer portal.
Well, don't go crazy. I will say something on that transfer portal. Someone asked a question in the Twitch chat room. We were talking to Bud Elliott in the 7 o'clock hour. I asked Bud right off the bat, how many players are in the portal? 1,500. After you gasp and freak out, and if you were watching, you saw me quickly lean over to David because I thought it was 130. I'm like, how many D1 programs are there? And I thought it was 130, 131. So if you just take 130 times 80, the number of scholarships that are available, that's 10,400.
Right. Throw in, because it's 85, so throw in an additional, 650. You're talking about 11,500 scholarships.
So it's less than 15% are in the transfer portal.
Right.
No. I'll have to ask Pat tomorrow, but percentage of NFL players that are in free agency every year, the numbers are not that far off.
No, in fact, nowadays there's such a trend to 1-year contracts. Pat keeps track of all the guys that are technically free agents and are signing just 1-year contracts. I might argue that it's higher.
So I think what Bud keeps alluding to, the free year of eligibility in the COVID times that everybody was given, it'll be interesting to see 2 years down the road if that 1,500 increases, decreases, stays the same, based on we're having guys playing 4, 5, and 6 years right now.
But man, it is so damn hard to find one of those guys. I mean, think about it. They drafted Baker Mayfield first overall. You certainly think you're getting a second contract out of a quarterback you draft first overall.
Well, and I think the question there becomes too, they want to give him a second contract because they don't want to look bad. They want to give him a second contract.
Well, they want to give him a second contract because they don't have anybody to replace him with. I mean, I will say nobody's there who drafted him. So, you don't have to worry about, there's no ego involved in the room. I mean, the GM's like, oh, I didn't draft him. I mean, we get rid of the guy who drafted him. Stefanski wasn't there when they drafted him. So, everybody there could just do we can go find another one to look just like him excuse if they wanted to. Like, let me ask you this. I'll be brutally honest. If you were the Cleveland Browns right now, Baker Mayfield or Jimmy G?
Baker Mayfield.
I can get Jimmy G for a lot less money.
I'll take Baker Mayfield. I'm not a Jimmy G guy, though.
Okay,
That's
I'm just asking, though.
I'm not.
But I'm just asking, and does that play into it at all? Like, let's just say you have to go to about 30 to keep Baker. I mean, Baker's asking for over 35.
Yeah, Baker's high.
But let's just say, well, he's figuring, hey, it's only 32 of these jobs. I'm your guy. And it's
that's where as a GM, you and I would run things way differently.
Well,
I don't care what the market's bearing. Baker, here are your numbers.
Well,
you're half as good as Patrick Mahomes. I'll give you $20 million.
Well, and I have no problem with that. I could walk away from Baker Mayfield in 3 minutes.
Yep.
But let's just go realistically. It's 2 for 40 for Jimmy G, and it's 2 for 60 for Baker. All right. Would you walk away from Baker for Jimmy G? Or do you feel there's just too big of a talent difference? I couldn't take that big of a drop. See, I don't think there is.
I don't think there's that big of a talent difference. I just think, look at whether Baker should have been playing or not playing. I think Baker's tougher. I think Baker's going to be on the field more than Jimmy G at the end of the day. And that my worries about Jimmy G is the injury problem. Baker played a whole year banged up. I maybe shouldn't have, but was willing to do so. I don't know if Jimmy G has that.
That's fair enough. But those are the type of decisions that I think are going to be out there. Sometimes it just takes one game to rehabilitate somebody's value. Does somebody look at Nick Foles and go, the Bears kept him on the bench all year. The one game they put him in there, he played really well, went on the road and won in the snow. We could do a whole lot worse bringing him in as our number 2 quarterback and seeing what happens. Philadelphia did that a few years ago, worked out pretty well.
Well, if you're not a team with an Aaron Rodgers, with an elite quarterback. No.
Right. And most teams aren't.
But you and I have talked about this a million times. You and Gary Danielson have a great relationship. I'm friendly with Gary. Gary talks about when he was a backup going in. There was a time in this league when you did not hold a starting quarterback in the same regard as we do right now. And with the fact that there are going to be so many guys that were first-round picks and that have I think we're going to get to the point where your backup problem, David's going to be solved the next 4 or 5 years because there's going to be that many quality quarterbacks out there.
Well, it should be. I mean, my feeling.
You and I would start benching quarterbacks when they played bad because I think the backup group is going to consistently get better and better, if you know what I mean.
It's just a matter of if teams are going to want to pay the money to have a good backup quarterback.
Is that also a testament to just the talent pool in the NFL just being better?
No, to the quarterback position. We're grooming quarterbacks in 9th grade to be NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We never did that before. Not at the level that we're doing it now.
I do think it's laughable that everybody wants to get rid of the quarterback in Vegas. I find that hysterical.
I agree.
I mean, my crush on Tannehill, and Carr's better than Tannehill.
Yes, he is.
Okay, and everybody can't wait to get rid of this guy.
Nope.
And there's got to be 10 teams minimum who are like, really? You're going to make him available?
Would make for a lot of interesting decisions on the Baker Mayfields of the world if this guy comes available.
I mean, I understand he's not Josh Allen, but he's a lot better than what we have. Who else is going to be in the final year of his contract and they have to make a decision? Kirk Cousins. Do the Vikings finally say to Cousins, yeah, we're not offering you another contract? 2022 is going to be your last year. Good luck. Because he's putting up great numbers.
Yes, he is.
But he's starting to get up there in age. And does that organization just go, listen, we gave you a couple contracts. We guaranteed every dime of it. You made a couple $100 million on us. You can't speak badly of us. We gave you playing time. We gave you money. We fully guaranteed both. We're just telling you, we're giving you a year's heads up. It's over after 2022, big fella. I'd start getting some boxes ready. You're going to be moving in a year.
Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when what's on tap? All still ahead right here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Do people actually believe that Derek Carr just isn't it?
A lot of people don't like Derek Carr.
That's ridiculous. Do you know all the shit that he's gone through in Las Vegas and Oakland that he's still been able to put up the numbers that he has? You know how good Hunter Renfrow has been this year?
Well, don't get me going on Hunter Renfrow.
Why, you don't like him?
No, I love him. Oh, no. Love him. Hunter Renfrow is the guy you see in college in which you just laugh and go, it's funny. Nobody's going to draft him. Everybody's going to say he sucks. He's too small and he's too slow. And all I know is he's open on every effing play. And Hunter Renfrow was that guy.
Yep.
Who was the guy? He was at North Carolina. Like 4 teams gave him a shot, including the Raiders, the Steelers. Oh, man. Ryan. Shit. He's exactly like Hunter Renfrow. He was drafted in like the 5th round. Okay, and we did a Sun Bowl. He was open every play. Every play, he was open. We're like, you got to draft this guy.
I really wanted the Patriots to get Hunter Renfrow. I was like, he's gonna carry the torch. But yeah, had Ruggs, dropped them, picked up Renfrow. Even better. Would you say that overall the thoughts on Baker in Cleveland are split, or do you think they like him more than they hate him?
Split.
Damn.
Marco Rubio wished me Happy New Year the other day.
Hey, it was nice of him.
I usually reply to his emails and tell him he's a tool. I usually go, you're an effing tool and you ruined my party.
It's my body.
That's usually my response to him.
Ruin it if I want to. Ruin it if I want to.
It makes me feel good. It really does.
He went to high school in my neighborhood.
I will say he had a brilliant strategy to get elected, because when he ran, everybody thought it was a joke. And he said, yeah, do you see how many people vote in the primaries? And whatever the figure was. And he said, and it's very low. And he goes, remember, I only need to get half of that plus one. Because remember, when he first ran, he was a Tea Party guy. And he said, you seen how many people signing up for the Tea Party? All I have to do is get the people who now recognize themselves as Tea Party people to vote, and I'm going to win the primary. And sure enough, that's just what he did. Now, then he proceeded to abandon all the people who voted for him, but that's their problem. But it was a brilliant strategy to get elected. When everybody looked at him and said, dude, you got no shot. He's like, not only do I not have a shot, I actually think I can have about 100,000 Tea Party people stay home and still win the primary.
I've had so much Marco Rubio shoved into my face. So, yeah.
Adam, I don't think they produce starting quarterbacks, but I do think they can produce backup quarterbacks, like the Garrett Gilberts of the world resurface through the AAF.
Before COVID, were you guys talking about the XFL?
Oh, God. That's such a sore subject. I am the king of the spring football leagues, and Mark mocks the shit out of me.
Because they all go defunct.
And
for
he's
all
completely...
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Philly brought up spring football right before we were coming out of break. This was just, if you've been a part of this show at all, any of our last 15 years, you know, it's such a passion of mine and pet peeve of Mark's.
And it's not a pet peeve of mine. It's a pet peeve that they always go belly up, and they seem to all run at the start the same way. Let's hire a football person and overpay him to run a minor league. That seems to work. And then you know what happens, David? They run out of money.
Listen, if I win this Powerball, I'm serious.
Someone won it. It's done.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, it was sold in Sacramento, California.
Son
$690 million.
Come on.
You're out.
It was just starting to get to the point where it was, you know, big enough to win. Don't you love when people say that?
I do. I'm guilty of it. I don't even think about buying a ticket until there's 9 digits.
Because $3 million.
No.
I got no
Couldn't
use for
use
that. Right. Oh, now that we're up to 9 figures, well, you know, if I win it solo and after taxes, I guess I can make 120 million go a little ways.
You know, you and I are old enough to remember when these first started. And I remember, I think Paul Lazwicki was his name. His mom won it when we were in high school. And Tony Padini, one of my buddies, our gym class was Coach Boyd, the football coach, threw 2 basketballs into the gym and said, okay.
Right, and
left. That's how gym class, literally.
Exactly.
You know, the freshmen and sophomores played on one court, juniors and seniors played on the other. And we're picking teams. And Tony Padini was one of the captains. And he gets down to the end. And Paul Lazwicki was not a very good athlete. Nice kid. Nice enough kid. And Tony goes, I'll take the millionaire.
17 minutes before the hour. Time for...
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
161 years ago. 1861 is where we start, Mark. Florida troops seize the federal arsenal in Apalachicola. A precursor for what is to come. Lincoln's not even in office yet, and they're letting you know, Abe, things are going to get rough. It was on this date 110 years ago, New Mexico became the 47th state, 1912. Mark, in 1929, Mother Teresa arrives in Calcutta for the first time to begin her work. And work
Turns out the work was pretty good.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Thomas Alva Edison, on this date in 1931, submits his very last patent application. Slacker. This date in 1942, one of my all-time favorites, Bob Feller, enlisted in the Navy on January 6th of 1942, a month after Pearl Harbor. Bob Feller had just turned 23. He was a four-time All-Star at that point in time in his life who had won 107 games. He had thrown 117 complete games. He had just finished in 3 consecutive years, third, second, and third for the MVP award. He had just turned 23. He enlisted in the Navy. He would not pitch in 43, 44, 45, and would pitch 9 games in 1946. Bob Feller and Ted Williams both did the exact same damn thing. And then Teddy Ballgame for Korea does it again and misses nearly 2 full seasons.
Feller's largely missed on this one, though. It's always Ted Williams that's talked about. Feller doesn't get the amount of acclaim that Ted Williams did for both of their heroic service for our country.
Bob Feller won 266 games and missed the seasons in which he was 23, 24, 25 years old, and pitched just 9 games when he was 26. The 3 years before he went to the Navy, he averaged 25 wins a year. The 2 years after he came back from the Navy, he averaged 23 wins a year. Combine the two, that's 24 a year. He missed nearly 4 full years. Do the math and add 90 or so wins to 266 and tell me where Bob Feller then would rank all time. Same with Ted Williams, by the way, who would have come close to 4,000 hits and would have been right there with Babe Ruth's 714 home runs if he had not given 5 years of his career to us. Bob Feller on this day in 1942. Pan Am offered the first round-the-world air ticket on this date in 47. Man, that's a long time ago.
It really is.
Man, wow. Mark, Elvis made his 7th and final appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show today in 57. Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom aired for the first time on this day in 1963.
Who didn't watch that show 5 million times because it's all that was on?
I didn't like it. I got to be honest. But
Didn't matter. Didn't matter whether you liked it. I didn't like Daktari, but it was on every Sunday, and I watched it because there was nothing else on, David.
Something I did not know on this day in 1964, Charlie Finley announces he's going to move the Kansas City A's. Not to Oakland. He announces he's moving them to Louisville. I never knew that. I want to know why it didn't happen. I mean, obviously Major League Baseball said no, but wow.
Probably protecting the Reds.
Yeah, probably. On this day in 68, the Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour album went #1 and stayed there for 8 weeks. And of course, they never toured with the Magical Mystery Tour album. All right. If you remember Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, you've got to remember Schoolhouse Rock.
Remember it? I own it.
It appeared for the first time on this date in 73. The first episode, Multiplication Rock.
Might be throwing it in the DVD to make the daughter watch when she gets home from school today.
Got to sing in the background. Conjunction Junction.
What's your function?
Hooking up words, phrases, and clauses. Wheel of Fortune premiered on this date in 75 on NBC.
2 and 2, Chuck.
1976, Ted Turner on this day buys the Braves. Care to take a guess?
I saw it, so I'm guilty. I know it's $12 million.
Which was $2 million more than what Steinbrenner 3 years earlier paid for the Yankees. The Flyers on this day in 1980, their 35th straight game without losing. That's tough to do. 1980 AFC Championship game. The reason I mention it, it's the game that led to instant replay. Steelers beat the Oilers 27-13, 17-10, late third quarter. Mike Renfro, Dan Pastorini, corner of the end zone, touchdown, ruled incomplete, didn't get his feet down. We were convinced he did, and the game would have been tied. Steelers go on to win. People yelling about it afterwards. It led to instant replay ultimately. Oh, by the way, the Bucks hosted the NFC Championship game on the same day in 1980 and lost to Vince Ferragamo and the Rams 9-0. Doug Williams got hurt early in that game, ruined any realistic chance for them to win. Also on this date in 85, Mark, it was Dan Marino's first AFC Championship game when he beat Pittsburgh 45-28 to go to the Super Bowl. Most people forget, well, they know they played the Niners, but the Niners beat the Bears in the NFC title game. And that 23-0 loss to the Bears was what fueled the 85 season. Nancy Kerrigan was attacked by Tanya's bodyguard on this day in 94.
Why?
Don Sutton elected to the Hall of Fame on this day in 98. This day in 99, the NBA and the Players Association finally reached a deal ending the 204-day lockout, which led to the 50-game NBA regular season, which might have been the best regular season in league history. The Noles in the last BCS title game beat Auburn on this date 8 years ago, 34-31. 7 years ago on this day, how about this Hall of Fame class? Randy Johnson, Pedro, John Smoltz, and Craig Biggio. Hey, it was 4 years ago today, Gruden named head coach of the Raiders and given a 10-year contract. And, a year ago today, it was the attack on the Capitol. Early win, Kerry Middlecoff and Ralph Branca, who are all no longer with us, were all born on this day. Lou Holtz is 85 today. Nancy Lopez is 65. Paul Azinger is 62. Howie Long is 61. Charles Haley is 58. Asante Samuel's 41. Gilbert Arenas is 40. Samuel was born in Fort Lauderdale, Arenas in Tampa. AJ Hawk's 38 today, and Jameis is 28, Mark. And that is today was the day.
Couple of omissions, David. I can't believe you didn't start this one in 1681 with the first ever recorded boxing match, which was the Butcher versus the Butler. The second Duke of whatever had his Butcher fight his Butler.
Sure it wasn't the Butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker?
I don't think it was.
All right.
That was one. Two, Frampton Comes Alive released today in 76.
Wow, that was a big one.
Sid Barrett would have been 76, founder of Pink Floyd, and Malcolm Young would have been 69 today. Time now for...
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
The good is cartoonist Mike Judge is returning to the big screen with a new Beavis and Butthead movie. They will be middle-aged. I am already fired up by seeing the caricatures of the middle-aged Beavis and Butthead. I'm going all sports for the bad and the ugly. For the bad, I go to last night's Wizards game when the Rockets win with Kevin Porter shooting the buzzer beater. His dad was shot and killed. That's how he died. The announcer says Kevin Porter Jr., just like his dad, pulled the trigger at the right time.
Come on.
I'm sorry, he should be fired.
No.
At least suspended. That's just asinine. The ugly also goes to basketball. In Tennessee State Representative Jeremy Faison, he is the House GOP chair. He was a parent in the stands, apparently, and was upset with the referee. He charged the field.
Oh, no.
Argued with the ref while walking on the court, pointed in the official's face, and then tried to pants the referee. Did I mention he is the House GOP chair for the state of Tennessee? Holy blank. That, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, January 6, 2022.
Lightning hosting Calgary, Panthers in Dallas, a light NBA schedule, a light college basketball schedule, although Andy Enfield's USC Trojans, after a 2-week layoff, finally back in action. Pat Kerwin on the show tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.